Warning: this podcast features adult subject matter, adult language, and things not meant for children to hear. Viewer discretion is advised. You've been warned. We could be. We might be. I think perhaps we are, ladies and gentlemen. We are live here on the I'm No Joe YouTube channel. Thank you, boys and girls, children of all ages, for tuning into the first episode of Season 3 on the I'm No Joe podcast here. Under our new format, it is all meat and potatoes, folks. We have trimmed away all the fat and push that over to a different part. This is the new all meat and potatoes show, baby. It is gonna be beautiful. So before we get too deep into it here, I do want to thank a couple of fine folks for coming along with what has inevitably been our second anniversary show. That's right. Officially, as of the 5th of July, the I'm No Joe podcast is now 2 years old, kicking off Season 3 the proper way with a birthday party. I'm No Joe. We've been doing the damn thing 2 fucking years. I told you that we won't stop. I thought I told you that we won't stop. Here we are 2 years later. So, to help me celebrate this 2-year anniversary episode, we have got a panel full of fine folks here. First and foremost, the freshest guest a man could ask for, here to help us through the shit talks and shenaniganery. Fresh 03, how you doing tonight, brother?
Doing all right. How are you, Zumita?
I got a cord, so we should be good to go.
Okay.
Oh, fuck.
Mainlining tonight, folks.
Yeah, for those of you who weren't here for the shit show that erupted last night, we are running a little bit different format for the programming here in Season 3. The news and recent events segment of the I'm No Joe podcast has now been relegated to its own independent show we affectionately refer to as the Joe Liminaries, the show before the show, if you will, where we give you all of the news and recent events, the fight announcements, and we can go off on tangents if we need to without affecting our fight card time, if you will. So if you missed that, be sure to go and check that out. We did have the Fresh 03 himself there with us to help go through that shit show, but we survived and here we are.
That's right.
So, as if that was not enough, we have got the Mike Perrius guy in Philly here with us. Ned Devine's cousin Nick is on the show. Boys and girls, clap your hands.
What's up, everybody? I don't always make it to I'm No Joe, but when I do, it's super necessary.
Super necessary.
Super necessary.
It absolutely was. I'm glad you're here, brother. Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having me.
And then, stepping in from the shadows, from parts unknown, the new guy, RJ, is back, boys and girls.
Yeah, I didn't fucking think that y'all were doing a show last week, so I spent the whole day at the gym. It's good to be here this week. It's going to be great whenever I can work everything out, so I'm on the Wednesdays and the Thursday shows, but that'll come up later this month. I'll be able to work that out. But good to be here this week. Good to talk about some fight shit. The Fight Island.
Hell yeah.
It's gonna be fun, man.
Well, glad we could get you in here.
Thank you for having me.
Then, as it were, more often than not, across the octagon from myself, my Wednesday night shit-talking homeboy, my combat-talking compatriot here, the one and only Golf T Vapes. How you doing, brother?
Doing excellent. Praying to God my internet stays with us. Things it's starting to storm here, but we'll find out here in a little while. Ready to talk some shit, and yeah, I'll second that. Mike Perry is a bum website there out in chat in case you guys are seeing that. If you want more stuff like that, go follow Darren Till.
Yeah,
See,
no doubt.
I think Mike Perry found the tax man. That's what I think really happened.
That could have been the case.
Found
You
him
never
live
know.
in a restaurant.
And then just tried to work off that debt. Oh,
That's
but
funny.
Boys and girls, if you haven't figured it out yet, Season 3 is going to be a little different here on the I'm No Joe podcast than the previous seasons we went through. Like I said earlier, we've got a little bit of a programming change here. For the news and recent events, the fight announcements, the just weird shit like Mike Perry punching old guys, that kind of talk we're going to save for the news chunk, so that way here on Thursday nights on I'm No Joe, we can get directly into the all meat and potatoes portion, right into the fight breakdowns. Sundays are still going to be What Did I Say shows, where I hold us accountable for the shit that we talk on I'm No Joe and kind of give you the play-by-play as to how it actually worked out. We do also have some smaller, more morsely tidbit style programming that are going to be dropping very soon, so keep your eyes peeled for those, because they're going to start dribbling right on through along with the programming. But as has been said to me by folks way smarter than myself time and time again, before we get into it, I need to tell you fine folks where you can find more of this if this just isn't enough, or if this is your first time to the I'm No Joe podcast. Thank you for tuning in. You can find more of our content everywhere social media is social media. We are on Facebook at I'm No Joe. We are on Instagram at I'm No Joe. We are obviously on YouTube at YouTube/I'm No Joe. But if these Instagram influencer level faces are just too much distraction for you, and I get it, I see the show as well, fret not, mon ami, we've got you covered there as well. The all-audio version of this show is available as well on anchor.fm/I'm No Joe, or on a plethora of other sources. Basically, anywhere you consume your podcast of choice, you can find I'm No Joe. Also, if you would like to support what we do here on the channel, get exclusive access to behind-the-scenes, unaired, and some say unairable content, patreon.com/I'm No Joe, and we appreciate everybody who supports us in any way. So, that being said, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the I'm No Joe podcast, the show where every armchair quarterback can feel like an Eddie Bravo. So let's dive right into the punchy, kicky talk. We have got a whole bunch of shit to get into this evening. We've actually got 3 events on the menu this fine evening to break down for you. First and foremost, obviously, we have got UFC 251 kicking off Fight Island Saturday night from Yas Island, Abu Dhabi, #NotMyFightIsland. I wanted some Pirates of the Caribbean shit with some palm trees, a fucking octagon on a beach, a skull throne, and your soul is mine. What we got was another fucking trip to Abu Dhabi, okay? Realistically. Yes, it's events, but it's fucking Abu Dhabi again, so we'll get into that card. We'll get into that shit here in just a little bit. Also, this evening, following Saturday's UFC 251, we have got Sunday night, the kickoff of SUG Island. Uncle Chael, not to be outdone, is also putting on an event this weekend, on UFC Fight Pass. Submission Underground 16. We have got some interesting things to talk about over there. And as if that was not enough, if your belly had not been full gorging on shit talk just yet, we got more for you, because we're also going to go over next Wednesday's UFC Fight Night, Yas Island, Abu Dhabi, Ige versus Cater card, because between now and then, we're not going to have another I'm No Joe, and for that particular card, we're going to be live once again with a Combat Compatriot live commentary show. So we're going to give you guys our breakdowns and our thoughts for all 3 of these cards on this fine evening. We got a lot of meat and potatoes to get into, so let's start right off up at the top. First one I actually want to get into is the Submission Underground 16. That is the quickest one we are going to be able to knock out here. Just a couple of points to mention. The prelims of this card, because much like a regular UFC or Bellator or regular any other MMA card, they've got a prelim, they've got a main card. Most of the prelims with Submission Underground, as is the case with most other combat sports, is generally the lower names, the lesser impactful fights. There is one in particular I do want to give a shout out to that I think is going to be our our dark horse underdog fight of the prelims for Submission Underground. That is, Logan Skinner versus Jesse Brock. Great fucking matchup, coming in right behind Vaughn versus Maximov, opening up the card, which is going to be spectacular as well. But I think Skinner versus Brock has a little more potential to go a little crazy here. Main card, 4 matches really simple card to break down here. Micah Brakefield versus Jake Ellenberger. Ellenberger, for whatever reason, has got it in his head he's going to survive in these submission undergrounds, and eventually he's just going to figure it out. Props for fucking toughness and tenacity and sticking with it, but he's getting his fucking ass handed to him, and he keeps coming back. So, you know, I'll tip my hat to him, but I don't think his match with Micah Brakefield is going to be much different than anything else we've seen from Ellenberger over on the submission underground side. Real quick, next one. This one has kind of been another one of those word of mouth. Fans have been hyping it up. Fans have been hyping it up. Well, it turns out we got an opening. Somebody put it in Uncle Chael's ear at the right moment. We've got the match made. Boogie Richie Martinez versus King Kevin Casey. Two grappling elites getting ready to throw the fuck down. There will be fireworks in that match. That, I believe, is going to be one that is going to take some serious overtime. I don't think regulation is going to be enough to hold those two down. That's going to be a hell of a fucking matchup to begin with. That brings us to, sadly, the co-main event for Submission Underground Island / Sug 16. Those of you who saw last night, we actually talked about this. Unfortunately, the original scheduled co-main event was going to be Jillian Robertson versus Oregon's first female black belt, Amanda Lowen. Unfortunately, Jillian Robertson's teammate has come down with the Backstreet Boys, so it was not just like a we're on the same team kind of teammate. It was somebody that she had rolled with, she had sparred with, they were familiar, they were close, they had interacted. So the whole team is obviously now on 14-day quarantine just to make sure she doesn't have any symptoms, she isn't presenting, she hasn't tested positive, but in this situation, we cannot be too safe. So last-minute replacement was actually found out of thin air. Boss Lady MMA Heather Standen pulled one out of left fucking field. Props to her. I understand why Uncle Chael loves her so much. She is fucking amazing. She pulled out of nowhere Aaron Hurl, who is going to step in on 3 days' notice to take on the badass that is Amanda Lowen in Submission Underground 16. And I tell you what, that's going to be interesting on so many. Yeah, that's going to be such a fucking great matchup. I was very excited to see Robertson Lowen, but I'm almost more excited now to see Aaron Hurl step in, because this is just peas in a pod as far as jiu-jitsu submission style competitions matchup. It's going to be great. And again, props to Heather Standen for fucking finding that. Boss Lady MMA is a badass. That, though, brings up Mason Fowler getting his chance to step in and take on the Goliath that has become Craig Cheetah Print Jones. Hashtag fuck Craig Jones. At this point, I don't really think opinions come into play anymore as much as I would like them to. I just, at this point, you have to concede that Craig Jones is basically the best no-gi submission grappler on the fucking planet. From the competitions internationally that he has done to just the sheer mass of bodies he has left in his wake in Submission Underground. So many so that they actually had a tournament just to get a chance to fight this motherfucker. I mean, and credit where credit is due, Mason Fowler won that tournament and definitively won that tournament. So here he is claiming his prize of getting the chance at Craig Jones, but I honestly, watching tape of Mason Fowler and watching him in competitions, I like the kid. I just don't know if he's got what it takes to take Craig Jones's fucking craziness on. Craig is so fucking quick, and he's got that alligator roll that nobody can get around. The interesting thing is that after this match, unless somehow Mason Fowler can dethrone Craig Jones, we already know what the headline for Submission Underground 17 in August is going to be. It will be Craig Jones, assuming he wins, versus Robert Jimenez, the runner-up from the 8-man tournament that they had to get to Craig Jones. So, unless Mason Fowler has some kryptonite in his pocket, the Craig Jones train, I think, rolls on through Submission Underground this weekend.
Yeah, I don't see anybody beating him.
Not
I think this is
easily.
like what round does Mason Fowler get caught? I think that's a
Well, that's
better question.
the interesting part about this is that much like Submission Underground 15, this is actually another rematch for Craig Jones because he and Mason Fowler actually met at ADCC 4 years ago or 3 years ago, I believe, in competition, like in actual competition, not just a tournament here. So this is Mason's chance to catch that L back and really show the world that Craig Jones is human, or become a two-time statistic now in the wrath of Craig Jones. So either history is going to be made or you get to be another statistic. Either way, it's going to be entertaining as shit to watch. I promise you that much.
I'm just saying the course is staying the course there.
Something's at this point, something earth-shaking has to happen to take Craig Jones off that fucking pedestal. Realistically, if Vinny couldn't fucking do it, I'm short on fucking names to find somebody that can. I give Mason all the credit in the world, but I honestly am not sure if him and Jimenez together could take Craig Jones at this fucking point. So we're gonna have to wait and see. From there, though, I do want to jump over to Wednesday's card. I want to save 251 for the end because that's the one we're going to watch after we get done talking. So I'm going to save that one for last. I do want to jump ahead here to Wednesday's card. I have to say, as much as I hoped against hope, we shouldn't have. We kind of talk about this every time, especially now that these group fight events like this are kind of becoming the new norm for the UFC. Just because we're getting spoiled with a splurge of 251, which is another reason I wanted to save it and talk about that last, does not mean that they are going to splurge on all of the events. Kind of like we talked about when we got back to the Apex, that initial pay-per-view was fucking banging. And then we got fight nights that were like, oh yeah, we do have a whole bunch of fights that don't really mean anything that still have to get put on as well, and they have to go somewhere. That tends to be that second show in an event run here, like we saw in Vegas at the Apex. That second show, while still good for a fight night, was kind of coming out of the shadow of the pay-per-view that it got set up by, and Abu Dhabi's not really going to be much different here. 251 is going out with a fucking bang. We've still got a bunch of good fights on this Wednesday night card. It's just not quite the pay-per-view we're going to be coming down from that adrenaline high of when we get to it here. That being said, there's still some pretty fun shit going on this fucking card on Wednesday night that we will be able to talk to you guys about. Right out of the fucking gate in the prelims, Jared Flash Gordon versus Chris Fishgold. Featherweight boys coming in to do some fucking work right out of the gate. The prelims are packed with little guy fights, 35s and 45s galore, just bounty fights to get your shit rolling right out of the gate. Flash Gordon versus Fishgold is going to be interesting because Fishgold has been really lukewarm lately. He's shown some signs of greatness, but he's also had his ass kicked by about half the division at this point. So it's like you can't really take him lightly, but you also have to remember that Fishgold is primarily a grappler versus Flash Gordon is a quick and bouncy fucking striker. So this is going to be one of those interesting matches to see. Can Fishgold get this match to the ground where he stands any kind of chance, or is he, like he did with Calvin Kattar, going to try and stand and box and then get his fucking head taken off his shoulders? I think he's going to end up getting his head taken off his fucking shoulders. I don't think it's going to be quick, and I don't think it's going to be pretty, but I think Flash Gordon's going to take this one.
I agree. This is Flash Gordon's fight to lose. If he gets taken down, Fishgold can get anybody at this point.
Yeah.
He's kind of one of them dudes who don't know exactly what's going to happen when he goes into a fight. But Flash, he's got relatively good takedown defense.
Yeah, he does.
So I don't see Fishgold being all that much of a problem for him. I think this might be one of those rare TKOs in the little guy fights. That's kind of what I'm thinking. Some TKO in the second or the third.
Interesting. I could see that.
All I have to say is, oh, that's it.
Champion of the universe.
Yeah.
It's the Flash all night long. I mean, unless he ends up on the ground somehow, that's the only way he loses this fight. But his takedown defense is good enough as is right now that I don't think he has to worry.
Well, I guess if nobody sticks up for Chris Fishgold, then I guess I have to, because who will?
Yeah.
That's how it starts.
Same reason you stick up for fucking Perry.
And look how well he did. Look how well he did.
Yeah, punching all dudes in the face.
I was
That
gonna
worked
say,
out well.
in the bar? He did pretty good in the bar. I think he's still undefeated.
I don't condone that madness, but just saying, he's beat up more guys this past couple weeks than most guys in UFC.
Absolutely true. Absolutely true.
I can't. Yeah, I mean, I can't deny that.
TJ's like, I want to deny it.
He's beaten more guys than fucking you beaten dicks.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
Say
Beat a lot of guys.
That's a lot of dicks.
36?
RJ, I'll let you know what RJ was going to say. He was also going to say Fishgold, so it's 3-2.
There we go. Yeah, put RJ down for Fishgold. You're not here. You don't get to make predictions if you're not here.
Right? That's how that works.
Yeah, you sit down when you
You take whoever you're given.
Oh, and as Nick Devine went to take a drink of water, OBS froze. Okay, so we didn't lose sound, but I am going to try the Zoom trick again real quick.
podcast variety.
Let's see if this works. After these messages, we'll be right back.
There's some really good fights on this card, though.
Oh, I thought maybe when I refreshed the room, RJ would be back. I guess not. At least we're back for OBS, though. Okay, so moving on from that shenaniganry already. The next one I want to talk about, not so much that I want to talk about, it's that we have to talk about because it's how they're going to open the main card. Carla Esparza versus Marina Rodriguez. This has almost become the ladies' version of Tony and Khabib. This fight has been booked, scratched, rebooked. I think this is either the fourth or fifth time they have had to rebook this damn fight. And it's not even like it's the number one contender fight or like the number one challenger fight. Carla's number 8. Marina's not ranked. I don't. Sometimes the UFC makes very strange choices. This, I kind of feel like they really want Marina Rodriguez to beat Carla Esparza for some reason. I'm not sure why. I can't really see the storyline that would follow with that, but we all know Carla is on that 18th looking at the bunker. She's been there on that green for a minute. She's putting strong, but she's just about done. Marina Rodriguez, on the other hand, is literally almost brand new on her way, just making a name for herself in the UFC. At this point, I can't root for Esparza. I just can't. I haven't been able to root for Esparza since she really started. I don't feel that all the way up to the inaugural fight she took place in. She's really belonged, for lack of a better word. Not that she's not a fighter, she's just not UFC level, and it shows nearly every time she's out there. So I kind of feel like this is the UFC again giving him a chance. Like, look, either you can beat this one and stay alive another week, or she beats you and we send you walking papers. I'm hoping the new girl beats her and sends her down the fucking road already. I'm done watching Carla Esparza come loose at the seams.
Yeah, I could see it. He's good. What's going on here? How come TJ's not talking yet?
Because I want to hear what dumb shit comes out of your mouth first.
Okay, so I'm gonna say this is what I'm gonna say. So I'm just taking after what Meter said. This is what you're gonna hear. After her last devastating win over UFC veteran Carla Esparza, our undefeated fighter Marina Rodriguez, that's gonna be the next time she fights.
Right.
Yeah, there's only one thing I had to say about this fight, and that's who roots for Carla Esparza. I have not seen her do anything that puts me in her corner to say, yeah.
In a minute,
you got
right?
it.
In a minute.
I do want to say one thing. It does look like that they're going to be the co-main event because, well, that's what I have. I don't know if my Google search is way different than yours. Maybe it's wrong. But if Frankie Edgar's not fighting anymore, they have Carlos Esparza and Marina Rodriguez right before Frankie Edgar.
See, last I saw, they had Tim Elliott versus Ryan Benoit moved up to the co.
Maybe right now I have them leading off the main card, which is crazy.
Wow, that's.
I wonder if that happened.
I kind of hope that didn't happen. I really don't want that fight to be. Like, I was disappointed enough that they were going to open the card with that fight. I really don't want to see that as the fucking co-main event. Not that, Tim Elliott versus Benoit is going to be much fucking different, but at least that's got a little more excitement potential. Man, that's going to suck if that's the fucking co-main event. Damn. Well, we can cross our fingers and hope that that's not how that shakes loose, but knowing the way that things go lately, that's probably how it's going to play out. That being said, now we'll talk about what I'm hoping is actually still the co-main event. What I saw was the co-main event, but apparently might not be the co-main event, but I'm still hoping it's the co-main event Wednesday night. Tim Elliott versus Ryan Benoit. This is one of those awkward situations. I say it all the time, and I'm going to keep fucking saying it. Regardless of my feelings about a fighter, I try and give credit where credit is due. If you earn a hat off, I try and tip the fucking cap for you here. Ryan Babyface Benoit has got some fucking potential. I just feel like he's hitching his wagon to the wrong fucking post. I feel like he is putting way too much faith in Gary Tonon's MMA knowledge to really benefit him overall. And again, to be fair, where credit where credit's due, Gary Tonon is one of the top 5 in the world in no-gi grappling competitions. Gary Tonon has one MMA fight in one FC against the soup can. How he is qualified to be an MMA coach when he's had one fight in MMA, I don't quite understand. I think that's a bad post to hit your fucking your pony to. The other side of that, Tim Elliott, since he's been rocking that mullet, has been a force to be reckoned with. Now, he's always been a bit of a bouncy psychopath to begin with, but since he has got that glorious sun-bleached mullet rocking over the last, I think it's 6 months or so, he has been a little fucking bombshell. I find it hard to root against that glorious party in the back entertainment that gentleman has got going on right now. Fuck Team Tonon. I think the mullet wins here.
I agree 100%. Kind of for a different reason, and that's Babyface he lets his opponent kind of dictate where the fight's gonna go
A
lot of times, which is, I mean, when you're fighting Tim Elliott, I mean, you're just gonna stand there, and bang, and if he like if old babyface there, he's far more skilled on the ground than a lot of people give him credit for. He could, like, if he managed to take this fight to the ground and control it, works in positions, trying to work into a submission, he would stand a lot better chance. I don't think he's going to do it. He gets coaxed into these fucking decisions, these decision fights, and they never fucking go his way. Like he does not win a decision fight. And that's what I think, that's probably what's going to happen. I think he's probably going to get coaxed into a fight that goes to a 3-round decision. So yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be I think it's going to be a fun fight. I think it's going to be a really fun fight.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't want people to get that confused. I'm not saying this fight's not going to be good by any stretch of the imagination. It's going to be a fucking banger.
They're both great they're both great fighters. They're both a ton of fun to watch.
Yeah, it's going to be a banger.
Go full fucking bore.
That's exactly why I'm hoping. Go ahead.
But yeah, I see this one being just a banger. I see this one being a really fun, just banger little dude fight.
Yeah, no, that's actually why I'm hoping that this gets to stay as the co-main event, because I see very little chance of Esparza making an exciting co-main event fight. But Tim Elliott versus Benoit, on the other hand, has potential to get your fucking blood going before the main event kicks off.
And they could draw some blood.
And
they could drench the ring. We could have this could be a bloodbath fight.
We could get another painting. Yeah.
Yeah. We've had so many good ones recently. So.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I'll let you play heel real quick, and then I'll come in and
Nah, I like Tim Elliott. I actually just looked up the Rodriguez Carlos Esparza. It's actually canceled. Rodriguez cornerman tested positive. I'm putting it in the chat now. Tested positive for COVID, so it's now on the Till Whitaker card.
No shit.
Rescheduled again.
Was I not literally just saying this is getting that fucking Khabib Tony thing going on? I'm pretty sure this makes 5 now.
This is the Khabib Tony that nobody wanted to see.
Yeah, it's the Khabib Tony no one asked for.
Yeah, they should do a whole card with them kind of fights.
No shit.
And the card will just never happen.
I was going to say, just book the card and never actually do it. Yeah.
Moving on from that shit show.
Right? The good news is that gives us that much better chance of actually getting Elliott Benoit for a co-main event.
That's crazy.
Ooh, and they've got that. Is the Ricardo Ramos Lerone Murphy fight still on? That could be a really good fight.
That might. I don't know. I think Ricardo Ramos was in Backstreet Boys Purgatory. He had a negative and a positive test, last I heard.
Son of a bitch.
That
could have been a really fun fight.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons I wasn't talking about it. Last I heard, he was in limbo. He had to do another negative test in within 24 hours or something to be eligible to fly to Abu Dhabi, so he could still have the 48-hour quarantine over there and be eligible to do everything.
Weird set of rules that are in place, but all for the benefit of everyone involved.
I was going to say, the fact that we've got so many caught and so many of these fucking fights have been swapped around because of it shows you how far they are willing to go to make sure this is as safe as it can possibly fucking be.
Yeah.
Yeah, for everyone outside of the 2 guys or gals in the cage.
Exactly. and if that's the case, you signed a contract to take those fucking risks.
That's right.
Yeah. It does suck for guys like Paul Felder, who came to do and he's sitting in a fucking room now, not even on the island.
Yeah, that sucks a lot. Also, fuck Bisping for making jokes about him being stuck in that fucking room now too. I thought the joke was funny as hell, but fuck Bisping for being the one to make it the way that he did.
Take that money though.
Yeah, no, Bisping's got his hands full with fucking Chad Mendez right now, calling him a wood-eyed asshole. That fucking unfurling over Chad Mendez's USADA situation is way bigger for fucking Bisping, I think, to deal with than that Paul Felder thing. But, what are you gonna do?
We'll bring it back here. This Benoit Elliott. Look, Tim Elliott does have one mean mullet. I'll give him that. Granted, he's on a 3-fight fucking skid, though.
Mm-hmm.
Because he lost October, was it January and May? If I remember correctly. or March.
It's definitely within the year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
he's
early in
lost
the
2
year.
this year and 1 in October of last year. The one in October was Figueiredo,
Yep. Which
and then I forget who the other 2 fuckers were. Benoit, we haven't seen in fucking over a year.
Yeah.
So to be honest, this is a Tim Elliott, you're fighting for your walking papers type fucking moment, in my opinion.
Could be.
I could see that too.
He better win. If he doesn't, he's walking. Benoit hasn't fought enough for them to say, "Oh yeah, we're just going to give you your walking papers." He might have 2 fights left on his contract, and so even if he loses, he goes back down to the bottom of the pool where he belongs.
Right.
Not
That's
a big
true.
deal. Tim Elliott, though, he's lost twice by submission and once by decision in those last 3 fights. Because he got subbed by Figueiredo.
Yeah.
He got subbed his last time out in the 3rd round. Figueiredo subbed him in the 1st round. And his second fight in between those 2 was a 3-round decision loss. Albeit, could have been a toss-up. But either way, I'm just saying, hopefully he can get his shit in line and get moving again. Because maybe it's time to get rid of that party in the back and just be all business again. Because, just saying. Although, we've seen some other people remove their mullets and it has not worked out well for them. So I'm just going to go ahead and say, keep on rocking. You do you, sunshine.
I always like rooting for guys and girls that have like 2 or 3 losses. It doesn't really matter who it is. I always want to see them pull off that win. Like I'm not a big fan of Joanna Jędrzejczyk, but when she had her little couple losses, I rooted for her to come back. And then the other one would be, I don't like Cody Garbrandt, but I wanted him to win that last fight because I didn't want to see him, leave the UFC over that shit. He's definitely he's definitely fun to watch for the most part. So it doesn't really matter who. I like to see people win when they're on a losing streak.
Yeah. You never. I won't say never. You rarely want to see people get their ass handed to them multiple times in a row to the extent that it gets them kicked the fuck out. There are a few people.
Yeah.
There's a few people I wouldn't mind see getting their fucking face slapped around multiple times in a row until they got walking papers. I'm just.
I hope you just coughed Greg Hardy. I really hope you just coughed Greg Hardy.
Wow. He's just gonna
Did you
say
just
that.
say Voldemort?
He's just gonna say Voldemort right out like we don't even have this discussion pre-show.
That motherfucker coughed Mike Perry. I won't stand for that shit.
I was just coughing. I don't know what you're talking about.
That's some aluminum fan base bullshit, Nick. I'm telling you.
Man, it's. I'm not attacking you. Calm down. I was coughing.
McGregor does it, and we want to see him fight Cowboy. Mike Perry does it, and oh God, here we go.
To be fair, McGregor only punched an old guy and a fat asshole who's trying to video him outside a nightclub. Perry punched 3 randoms, an old guy and a lady for no reason, okay? There's a difference.
Did he punch a lady?
Yes, he did.
Yeah, and this was in one sitting.
All in the
McGregor
same
did
fucking
that
stretch.
multiple.
Yeah, McGregor had it in 2 different things. Perry did that shit in one night, 1 round. Serve him up again, barkeep.
Yeah. I don't know. I got to read into that one. That's crazy.
It's a hell of a story, yeah. All right, new guy, what do you got to say? Sitting in the corner trying to grow a mustache ain't working.
I've been over here like zoned out because my fucking computer was fucking up and freezing up on me. It's like I'm like, oh shit, like they're glitching out, and then as soon as I figure out what's lagging my computer out, all I hear is fucking. He said Mike Perry. I don't stand for this shit.
He coughed it. I heard him. He coughed it. I fucking heard him.
I've been trying to figure out what was going on with the computer because everything was like lagging out, and I'm like, shit, what is open on my computer that's doing this right now?
Good times.
All right, Tim Elliott, Ryan Benoit.
Team Benoit. I like Elliott. Elliott's a decent fighter, but he's getting a fucking swift kick to the door here pretty soon, I think. because he hasn't been performing very well in a minute, and Benoit has been steadily getting better and better every not every time, but every couple of fights you see him progressing in some way, shape, or form.
Right on. Interesting. So that is going to bring us into the first meat and potatoes section of the meat and potatoes segment of this meat and potatoes episode here. The main event for Wednesday's Combat Compatriot, the namesake for that particular card itself. Dan Ige versus Calvin Kattar. To be fair, both of these gentlemen, as far as the UFC is concerned, are top of the stack. Either one of them could step in at a moment's notice as a replacement in the title fight at 145. I'm a little surprised that they let this fight become the main event on the next card instead of putting it on 251 to keep these two there as alternates for Max and Alex. Realistically, both of these guys have one loss on their record in the UFC. And stylistically, they're real fucking close. They're both rangy, bigger guys for 145, but they both use their length really well. The difference, in my opinion, is that Calvin wants to use his length to keep you at distance, whereas Dan wants to use his length to set up quicker attacks to get in and close on you more. Dan's a little more willing to go to the ground. He's almost a little more eager to make it a ground fight, whereas Calvin's not afraid to go to the ground, but he would rather keep it on the feet and punch you in your fucking head, because that's what he's really fucking good at. He's got great defense, he's got good groundwork, but he's much better as a striker, standing on the feet, giving you different looks, giving you different angles, walking the fucking octagon down on you, and he's really fucking good at it. But the problem is Dan Ige is really good everywhere as well. The thing that we've noticed, at least in my opinion, that Dan Ige is detrimented by is his emotions. You can see when he starts to get too emotional about a fight, when he's not getting his game plan initiated, when he's getting shut down, you can see him get frustrated and it throws him off. He makes bad decisions. He can't keep his head on straight in the moment when he gets himself too worked up about a fight. And Calvin Kattar's one of those dudes, that Nate Diaz-esque motherfucker who's gonna talk shit to you that whole goddamn fight. Every time he hits you, ooh, bitch, gotcha. Every fucking time. Especially if he knows it's gonna get in your head, you'll watch him talk shit the whole goddamn fight. That'll put you in Dan Ige's head rent-free. That's a bad sign for Dan Ige. I'm not saying Calvin Kattar's impervious to such a thing, but I'm saying he's not an idiot. And if that's the thing that makes the difference, I think Calvin Kattar's smart enough to recognize that, especially seeing as how that's what he does normally. If his normal game plan is going to get him that much more effect in a fight like this, and I feel that it will, I think it's really hard to think there's any way around it, considering it's kind of Ige's weakness. Is really one of his kryptonites that we've seen, one of the few. I think Kattar's smart enough to capitalize on that, and I think his overall fight experience, because outside the UFC, he's got literally double the experience Dan Ige has. In the UFC, they're almost tied numbers-wise. Outside, Kattar's been around. Kattar's got the experience, and I think that's going to help him know to play that mental warfare, to do it right, to stay out of the reach, to use his reach properly, to frustrate Ige. I think Calvin Kattar takes it, and I think it's going to be a hell of a fight getting there. I don't think it's going to be quick. I don't think it's going to be easy. I think there's a good chance it might go to the judges because of how similar styled they are. But I think overall, I think Kattar's got just enough to get in Ige's head and squeak that win out.
I mean, Dan Ige's won 6 fights in a row.
He is absolutely on a fucking streak. I will not deny that one bit.
Yeah,
He's
Calvin Kattar, he won his last one,
with the exception of the Zabit
recently.
fight.
He's been kind of every other. If my brain's
He's only lost one decision, and that was to Zabit, and that was a controversial fight where he outstruck Zabit, but they still gave him the decision. I looked it up.
Okay.
He won the 3rd round too.
Yes, he did. Handily, he won that fucking 3rd round. He was punishing Zabit.
So, I mean,
It's
this
a good
seems like
matchup.
this just kind of seems like a Dan Ige fight to me. Like, it seems that don't know that Calvin Kattar can get in his head as much as you think. Um, he's a relatively controlled fighter. I think it goes to the ground a couple times. I think Ige will get a couple takedowns, work some control, and that'll eat up a lot of the clock. Where I'm going Dan Ige. I'm going Dan Ige. I'm not gonna. I think
Give yourself
I'm not gonna
talk
try and
yourself
talk
out of
myself
it.
out of it like I normally do. Yeah, I love Calvin Kattar, but this seems like Ige. This seems like an Ige fight. It seems like, and the last time I saw Ige, I was like, nah, he's riding a winning streak, but I don't think he can do it. And he proceeded to like go in and demolish.
He worked Barboza, yeah.
Yeah. I thought Barboza could take him. So that's what I got.
I think this fight's one that I think they finally have right for a small fight night card.
Yeah.
This is a
Good
perfect
main event, yeah.
main event for this type of card.
Fucking awesome.
And to be honest, at 145, these guys, they're gonna go fucking just haywire. In my own opinion, this is not gonna be a slow fight by any means.
No.
You're gonna see let me rein myself in here. If it goes 5 rounds, you're gonna see just nonstop fucking action between these two, which will be fucking fantastic. This has, for this card, easily fight of the night written all over it at this point.
Yes.
There's not another fight on this card that I think can upshow this fight at all. With that being said, making a decision on who's going to win this fight, that's a pretty fucking tough call. Right now, these two, in my opinion, are kind of coin flip. I agree with you, Meter, 100%. Ige does have a problem with not being able to control his emotions. Maybe he needs to see a sports psychologist or some shit like that.
Yeah.
Maybe take a Klonopin or something like that before he goes in. I don't know.
Whatever the case may be.
Either way, there's something going on there. With Calvin Kattar, there's not. The only thing that you can even think about Calvin Kattar is, I want to see if he'll ever submit somebody, because he does one of two things: he either wins by knockout or he goes to decision and wins,
or crushes
I
your
don't
liver.
see many subs. The other side of that, Ige, he subbed quite a few people already, and I'm just saying, if he manages to get it to the ground, although he's not known for a lot of takedowns in his fights, he very well could take control of it if it ends up on the ground. But if it ends up as just a striking match, those two are about a horse apiece to me. Yeah. Unless Kattar can manage distance, frustrate Ige real well, because that's when Ige's emotions get the best of him, is when he starts to get frustrated. So Kattar comes out using his jab, managing that distance, just popping away with jab every once in a while, 2, 3, 4 combination, he'll win the fight easily. But I don't know that Kattar's going to be that disciplined with him, because I think he's overlooking Ige a little bit. I really do. Because to be honest, his striking is a level above Ige's, which is why you've seen so many people be able to frustrate Ige when it comes to managing distance. But we'll see. It's going to be a coin flip on whether they stay standing or it ends up on the ground. If it ends up on the ground, I give it to Ige. Ends up standing, it's Kattar all day.
I can see that.
Yeah, I got Calvin Kattar in this one. I think he's gonna make his way up there to fight for the championship soon. Ige is awesome too, but I just think, I don't know. I think with Calvin Kattar's got a chin. He's fucking super aggressive too.
Yeah.
That what he did to Jeremy Stevens was fucking, and he took a couple shots in that fight too.
He absolutely did. That's one of my examples. I actually used that as an example when I was talking about this fight with somebody the day before yesterday. I was like, dude, people didn't really think about Calvin Kattar as a legit contender, even though he's been a verified bad motherfucker 6 fights in a row now, until he got in there with Lil Stevens, because everybody knows what Lil Heathen is capable of when he gets on a streak. When he gets rocking, he fucking lets loose, and he caught Kattar with a couple of those, and then Wasn't enough, man.
Yeah, that he got the fight of the night with Shane Burgos. That
Yep.
was fucking an awesome
That was a
fight.
great fight too.
Beat him, and then there's a beat fight was really good too, and he beat Ricardo Lamas. Yeah, I think he's got more names on his record. But Ige, he's on quite a winning streak. He's got like 6 in a row.
6 in a row, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Calvin Cater on that one.
Yeah, I'm kind of. Oh, I'm pretty much with everyone on this because it, like Fresh said, it's a fucking coin flip because it depends on where it goes. Dan can control the fuck out of you if he
Mhm.
gets you to the ground, but if Calvin knows that, so if he trained like hardcore train some takedown defense, because like Calvin is, I think, is a blue belt for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, so he knows what he's doing on the ground, but I don't think that he's confident in his abilities whenever he goes down to the ground. I think that's why we've never seen subs and shit like that from Calvin. But knowing what type of fighter Dan is, I hope he trained the fuck out of some takedown defense, because if he can keep distance, he's got the fight, because he is that Calvin is a fucking powerful son of a bitch. Like, again, the Jeremy Stevens fight, just throwing bombs for fucking 2 rounds,
And
that shit was ridiculous.
technical bombs at that. He wasn't just fucking
Oh,
winging.
yeah.
When he threw, it was on the fucking money like a laser beam, man.
It was fucking precise and accurate. Every single hook, every jab. Calvin on his feet is a force to be reckoned with. But Dan is the same exact thing whenever he gets somebody to the ground. I want to say Calvin takes it, mostly because if you can keep somebody at distance and you're fucking throwing in bombs just accurately, precisely every single time, that's going to keep somebody a little bit more at distance and a little bit more hesitant to go in for a takedown, especially with how Dan goes in for a lot of takedowns. He uses fucking forehead wide open.
Forehead first, yeah.
And a good shot of the forehead, your brain's getting fucking rattled.
Yeah, he does. He absolutely does go face first when he goes for his single legs, and that leaves you open to an Uncle Ben.
Yeah.
The 5 seconds of fury, absolutely. Oh, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be fun because we get to live commentate that one. So, I'm excited. As sad as I am that we don't get Frankie fucking Pedro, which would have been a fucking rock'em sock'em robot awesomeness. I'm still stoked we get fucking Dan and Calvin, because that's gonna be a great fucking main event for us to watch live. That being
I'm
said,
the only
though,
one took Ige, huh? All right.
yeah, that's you rolling that Ige train. So that will bring us into this weekend's UFC 251 card, the kickoff of the Fight Island escapade. Our first foray back to Abu Dhabi, to Yas Island, to the glory that was custom built for this situation. I will say this. Much like we have seen the last, I think, 3 pay-per-views in a row, as much as they're going to build this card, it's not a super card. As much as they hype it to be, it's not a super card. It's a big card. There are big fights on it, but just like any other card, there is still fluff. Opening this card on the early prelims are a bunch of relatively lower ranked and unknown little folks who are going to be exciting as shit to watch, just not quite exciting enough to individually break down. The one that I do want to talk about on the early prelims, though, is what I believe to be our first potential walking papers fight of the evening, as it were. Marcin Tybura versus Maxim Grishin. Marcin Tybura is one of those heavyweights that came in and had a fucking world of steam behind him and has resulted in an entire 10-foot tall pile of meh in his run in the UFC. We saw brief flashes of potential. We saw glimpses of maybe, and nothing has amounted from it. The dude has got a bad attitude and apparently a bad training ethic, according to a lot of folks from the gym time with him. I think this is the UFC's response in either get your shit together or we're going to let this new guy beat the fuck out of you and then cut you loose. I'm not inclined to believe that Marcin Tybura has gotten any type of motivation or any fire lit under his ass. I'm thinking the new guy's going to send him on his fucking way this time, and I wouldn't be disappointed for it.
I didn't know. Well, I still don't know who Maxim Grishin is. I just looked at his right. I'm just going purely off records here, and Maxim Grishin is coming in with like a fucking steamroller. Like he's won a lot of fights in a row.
Yes.
And it looks like he's been knocking people the fuck out. So I'm going Maxim Grishin. Knock him the fuck out. Marcin Tybura, fuck you.
Right.
You're just eating space where somebody else could be. Somebody else with the desire to actually be in there could be.
Right.
So, Maxim Grishin, welcome. Knock him the fuck out, please.
I have this strange feeling that Tybura actually wins this.
You think this is gonna be one of those ones where he just like it gets going and he just
he squeaked out a win in his last fight.
Mm-hmm.
So, when he fought Spivak, when Spivak looked like he was going to dominate it.
Yeah.
But he squeaked it out somehow. However, I have, as much as I hate to do this, I have to give Tybura a little bit of leeway. When he came into the UFC, they didn't feed him any easy fights. I mean, you figure he fought Derek Lewis, who else? Mauricio Verdum, Stefan Struve, Abdurrahimov, fucking Sakai, excuse me. He's had a rough go of it. Now, if he doesn't want to train, that's his own fucking fault. That's just pure laziness for a guy who you made it to the big time. That's your own fucking fault. Then you deserve to lose. But he's also been kind of thrown to the wolves in the deep end of the pool a little bit. They finally got him back down where he belongs in the shit pot, as it were. But I have to give him a little bit of leeway just purely based on the shitstorm that he was fed into when he came into the UFC. And he's been here for 3 years now and has, I want to say it's been 3 years now, and hasn't done dick with it other than lose to big name fighters. Yes, he beat Stefan Struve, but Struve has been so far from great for 2-3 years now, or even he's not even a ghost of his former self. Stefan Struve used to be a force to be reckoned with. He's not been that guy in quite some time, albeit when he fought Stefan Struve, that was about 2 years ago, I think. I want to say it was 2018-ish. So Struve was already on that downward slope. So yeah, he's beaten a big name, but he got fucking demolished by Derek Lewis. Verdum demolished him. And prior to the Spivak fight, he got demolished in the first round in like 45 seconds or something. So I think a lot of this has to do with, one, you've got a glass jaw at heavyweight, and that's not a good thing to have at heavyweight.
Fuck no.
And if you're being lazy in training, you're going to end up losing. The only reason I'm giving him any leeway is because of going back and looking at the fights he's previously had. He's been fed to killers.
Yeah.
Look, lambs to slaughter are never going to prosper. That's how that works. When you're using them as just a stepping stone for a fucking certified killer, dude, you got to give the guy a little leeway. Now, I'm not saying he's good by any means. No, I'm not. I'm not riding that gravy train out there. No, that dude is. He's at best. He's a good entry fight for people coming into the UFC. And that's at best. I don't think he sticks around much longer. We'll see what this brand new Russian can do, at least new to the UFC. If he makes quick work of him, that's his foot in the door. Even if he wins by fucking decision, that's his foot in the door. Tybura is literally fighting for his
opportunity.
We're not going to say career.
Yeah.
Hasn't made a career out of this yet. But he's literally fighting for his next contract. If he doesn't win, he's done. And I think he's going to end up getting his walking papers. Even though he won his last fight, he hasn't done enough with his previous 5 or 6 fights in the UFC to make it worth keeping him on as a heavyweight. Because the heavyweight division is pretty stacked right now.
A lot more than it has been in a while, yeah.
Yeah, you really don't need another heavyweight just clogging up the bottom. I mean, if guys want to work their way to the top, there's plenty of other shit in the middle right now other than Tybura.
Yes, sir.
Although, I will say, early prelim premier fight, good spot for him.
I was just about to say, although, to be fair, the placement of this fight on the card is about appropriate. It's the highlight of Marcin Tybura's potential last match in the UFC and Maxim's real debut. So, I think he's got a damn good chance of fucking sending Tybura down to the goddamn road. I'm not shy to see it. That being said, bringing us into the prelim fights, we have got a hell of a banger. Another not quite tiny little guy, but still little guy, featherweight craziness matchup here. Danny Henry versus the mad Frenchman himself, Marwan Amirkhani. This is one of those fights that's going to be a don't blink match. These are two guys who just go ape shit. This is going to be like an old Tasmanian devil cartoon where you just see spinning and random elbows and boots here and an elbow there and then a fist and then a fucking kitchen sink flies out of the cloud for no reason. Like, that's the kind of matchup these two are going to put on. These guys are going to go at it. It's going to be ugly, it's going to be sloppy, and it's going to be fucking crazy, but I think it's going to be fun as shit to watch, and I think Amir Khan is just ever so slightly going to edge out Mr. Henry.
I mean, these guys are really, really even. Like,
Yeah.
these two are kind of looking into the mirror, looking in the mirror at each other.
Only one's got a beret and a handlebar mustache.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with Amir Khani on this one as well. Just based on what I've seen of Amir Khani, I think he's got a little bit better durability. And I think that's what this is going to come down to, is who's going to be able to eat the most shots.
Yeah.
Obviously, with little guy fights. And I think that Amir Khan can eat shots a little bit better than Danny Henry. So that's the only reason I would lean towards one fighter or the other. This is kind of one of those ones where I would be like, normally like, yeah, but I think Amir Khan, he's got a little bit better durability. So yeah, there we go, Amir Khan.
I just have to go Amirkhani purely based on his. I'm going to pull the MMA math card here. Purely on his previous fights. Because to be honest, this
the last dude he lost to was Uge, but I mean, everything's losing to Uge right now.
Right.
Or wait a minute. Let me. I won't say MMA math. I'm going to liken this to college football. Strength of schedule. His schedule has been much better than what Danny Henry's has. He's fought guys that are tougher. And he's shined in some of them, lost in a few, but, he is a middle-of-the-road fighter. He's not anybody that I would say we're ever going to see come anywhere near the belt. However, crazy shit happens in MMA, so I can't count either one of them out, but
That's true.
I would have to say, based on strength of schedule alone, Amir Khani wins it. If it wasn't for strength of schedule, I'd really have nothing to fucking give on this because I think, to be honest, I think they're very evenly fucking matched.
Yeah,
It's a good
this is
matchup, man.
really even.
Yeah.
This is dark horse fight of the night.
That's
right
what I
here.
said. This is gonna be fun as fuck, and it's not getting
Yeah.
any publicity whatsoever because it's so high up in the fucking list on such a crazy card.
Yeah, it's in that weird middle ground of the fight, so they're not covering
Yep.
it, and
Yep.
I don't think they're doing due diligence because I think these two are going to put on one hell of a fucking show.
Yeah, I agree.
Danny Henry's a fucking tall 145er.
Mm-hmm.
6 foot tall.
Yeah, lanky fucking featherweights, man.
Yeah. Yeah, he's all skin and bones.
Yeah, he hasn't fought. Yeah, he does. His schedule is weird. He's like 1 a year fighter. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Amir Khani. I'll go with that.
Yeah, this is just across the board. Americani, both of them, whenever they fight, they're always consistent and they always pull out some crazy shit. But kind of how Fresh said, with Americani fighting much more often than what Henry does, he can put a game plan together much easier and stick to it than what somebody that only fights once or twice a year. When you have somebody that's fighting 3 times a year, even that one extra gives somebody the upper hand. I mean, Americani, although I don't like how he's Mr. Finland.
Yeah, the French Mr. Finland. I know.
The French Mr. Finland, born in
Oui, oui.
Iran.
Yeah, I was gonna say from Iran. Yeah, he's a whole clusterfuck of hilariousness.
There was actually a really cool article on, I think it was Bleacher Report this week about Amir Khani and him kind of getting back to his roots and going back and looking at his family's past and kind of getting
in touch.
It was a really cool article. If anybody's interested in learning about him a little bit,
It is very cool.
apparently nobody but like this crew is interested in him. But yeah, he's kind of a neat guy.
Yeah, he's an interesting character, and it's gonna be a great fucking fight. I'm kind of stoked to see how that plays out. That, however, will bring us into another very interesting fight. I think, again, very aptly placed on the card here. The premier prelim fight. Vulcan No Time Ozdemir versus Jairi Prochazka, the former Ryzen light heavyweight champion. This is going to be a very, very interesting matchup. These are both very large, very Eastern Bloc, very shut up, I punch you kind of fighters. Think Zangief without the wrestling or the cool haircut. That's these two in a fucking octagon here. Both of them large, ice cream cone shaped gentlemen with awkward patchy chest hair and strong right hooks. Neither one of them wanting to back down. Someone's going to sleep. I don't know which of them it's going to be. I have a feeling it's going to be the new guy because he's been fighting juiced up soup cans for a while, and Ozdemir has been in there with some of the top fucking dogs, but neither one of these guys are coming into this match to be technical or to be fucking precision masters. This is a fucking slobber knocker, and as nice as it is of the UFC to give that Ryzen fella a shot, I don't think he stands much of a chance making a debut against No Time.
I have to respectfully disagree with you there. I think fighting juiced up soup cans is a lot harder than fighting a fucking non-juiced up heavyweight. Or light heavyweight, excuse me.
Right.
These guys are 205ers, not 265ers.
Yeah.
Big fucking difference there.
Right.
All right. No, that has a lot. That's all says a lot. If you're beating up juiced up fucking soup cans, being juiced, that'll get you a long fucking way. I mean, there's certain fighters in the UFC prior to the USADA days.
Mm-hmm. Some of them
That
after
would
USADA
do.
days.
I'm just
CRT
saying there were a
therapy.
couple of them that may or may not have been on some tainted supplements. That, well, we could obviously tell who the fuck they were at the time. Now you look at them 10 years down the road after they've been in the USADA pool,
Right.
completely different people.
Or guys
No,
that
I
got
think
out.
he stands a decent chance. I don't think he wins it, but I don't think we're giving him enough credit. You're beating up juice heads. You're doing all right, and albeit I will say not as well trained juice heads. They're still fucking juice heads. Ozdemir, he's had some fucking tough fights in the UFC already. I mean, he's fought the likes of DC and at 205 back at, was it like 2018 or
17 or 18.
17?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was a while ago. But still, he's fought some big names in the UFC, and they haven't gone his way all the time, obviously. Not otherwise, we'd be looking at a guy who's been fighting for a title here shortly. But, I mean, last I checked, he did beat a one tough Mr. fucking Ayir Latifi, and that's a fucking beast of a man right there.
Yes, sir. And it was a great fight, too.
And he
Yeah.
knocked him the fuck out.
He put him on his fucking ass hard.
So I will give it to Ozdemir. However, I don't think it is by any means going to be an easy fight for him. I really don't. I have to give the ex-Ryzen champ some fucking credit here. I got to give him the knock for knocking out fucking juice heads, because that's no easy task. Just because their balls are shrunk doesn't mean they go out easy.
And I'm sitting here looking at Ozdemir's record, and his fights that he's had. He lost to DC back in 18. He lost to Anthony Smith back in 18. So neither of those, I mean, you can't really take anything away from him.
No.
He had a split decision with Dominic Reyes, which you can't take anything away from that.
That was a good war too.
Yeah, he beat Latifi, and then he beat Rocket. So he's sneakily kind of building up a little bit of steam with those last two fights. And then you're fighting a dude who's like, I mean, I'm pretty sure if you look him up, you would find like him up on a Russian mountainside, like boxing a diesel truck or something like that. Like that might have been one of his fights, and he still came out with a W. Like he still beat up a truck. So, I think this is going to be a really good fight. I think this is going to be a really good heavyweight fight. Just Ozdemir, I think he's got the pride. He's got a little bit better. He's got a little bit better resume at this point. And like I said, he's kind of sneakily getting some momentum behind himself. So I think I'm going to give it to Ozdemir, but I think Proshka is going to be. I know I'm not pronouncing that at all right. I think this is going to be. I think he might stick around, because you go look at that dude's record, and he's done nothing but win. He's done nothing but win for a really, really long time at this point. So I mean, saying that he's not going to be able to put together a fight, he's not going to be able to put together a game plan. The dude's knocked out like 26 dudes in a row.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
He's been crushing. That's for damn sure. That's what I said. Credit where credit's due. He's been crushing like a motherfucker over there.
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see where this goes. But yeah, I think Ozdemir. I think he's quietly getting some momentum rolling. You know, he had some really good fights with the top, the best, and has slowly learned in these last two fights. He's really been showing something. So Ozdemir gets it for me.
I think it says a lot that Ozdemir's Jiri's first fight in the UFC. That's a big name to be your first fight in the UFC. I imagine they offered him somebody lower and nobody wanted to take the fight. That's a really good name for the first. I know I don't know if he's an ex-champion or if he was champion and left.
Yeah, he left as champion.
But yeah, that's quite a good fight for somebody to get for their first fight in the UFC.
Yeah, it's not a gimme match. That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, they ain't throwing him no fucking easy work.
Yeah, that definitely said it. I mean, they could have gave him There's a whole bunch of other 205ers they could have gave him. I can't really think of one off the top of my head, but there's a bunch of them out there. I mean, Alira Latifi would have been a good one, I guess. Who
That
knows?
That would have been
that
fantastic.
actually,
fight.
yeah, I was gonna say that actually would have been a really good match. They're almost mirror images of each other, but like one's a little more Middle Eastern, one's a little more Russian.
Well, Jiri he's. Oh no, okay, yeah. Oh wow, him and Vulcan Ozdemir are the same height. I thought I read that he was 6'4"
No,
somewhere.
they're fucking mirrors.
They have
Man.
that dude has a stupid fucking reach.
Yeah.
Fucking
80-inch reach,
inches.
yes. 80-inch reach over Vulcan Ozdemir's 75-inch
75.
reach. Vulcan's got really good boxing though, but
Yes, he does.
man, I guess I'm just gonna have to take Ozdemir just because I know Ozdemir. I can't really. I was trying to look up that you could see some of his fights, but I didn't watch.
Yeah, that's what I said. Jairi puts motherfuckers into orbit. He was absolutely a fucking can crusher in Ryzen, but he was crushing juiced up cans. I don't know if that's going to translate the same to stepping up to somebody like Ozdemir, who's been in there with the motherfuckers of the motherfucker brigade.
Yeah.
Well, you know that whole thing we were talking about for quite a few months hasn't come up in a while, but those whole crossover fight type situation. This is kind of one of those situations where you find out how good is this
Right, yeah.
individual really.
Yeah, it really is.
And because you know what, it could be that he's really that fucking good, and we just don't realize it, and we're about to find out.
I think part of my issue is and it got mentioned on the show actually, not a lot because obviously it wasn't that big of a deal at the time, but it did get mentioned on the show. The reason that Jairi got his contract with the UFC is because his last title defense in Ryzen was against a gentleman who had 2 fights in the UFC and got suspended after the second fight for a USADA violation and then got terminated before he got released off that suspension from a USADA violation because there was another USADA violation while he was suspended for the USADA violation. And Jairi beat that guy and then got his UFC contract. So the setup of him getting here, even though he did work before that gentleman got in the fucking way, it just kind of, it makes it hard to think that he's really got everything it takes to compete at the top level. But again, they're throwing him to fucking no time, so we'll find out real quick.
I mean,
So he's not just beating juiced up soup cans. He's beating up juiced up soup cans with 0 fucks given.
Yes.
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 I mean, but the only thing that people aren't really like thinking about is 9 times out of 10, somebody that's juiced to the fucking gills, they're not training shit for fucking just accuracy, precision,
True.
the technicality aspect. They're just training to learn
That
how
power.
to put that power behind your fist and how to rip a fucking bag open.
True.
They're not like, okay, if I move this way, he's gonna move this way, and as soon as he takes a step with his right foot, that's a hook to the chin. No, it's like, oh, fucking Hulk smash, shit. You're not doing anything with that. You're not doing shit. 9 times out of 10, they're just fucking swinging and hope something hits.
It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. It really is. I'm not discounting him completely, but man, I got to put my faith in no time here.
Yeah.
But that will bring us into the main card of 251, the first main card from Fight Island. And they're not fucking around. Like I said, this might be a super card, but it wasn't a full super card. They saved all the goodies for the main here. There's no fluff here. We open the main card with Amanda Hebus versus Paige Van Zandt. Little ladies who are going to go fucking crazy. Paige Van Zandt has been chomping at the bit to get back in the ring, but she just cannot stay off the fucking injured reserve list for a while. now that
Back to
she's
TikTok.
right now that she's off the injured reserve list, we've got her final fight on the UFC contract. So if everything goes as the MMA god should will it to, we should be done with Paige Van Zandt after this fight. On paper, everything comes up Amanda Hebus when you put the fucking two side by side, with the exception of money made outside the UFC. I'll concede that Paige Van Zandt has monetized her look way better than any other UFC lady has. She has absolutely set the bar for how to capitalize your image in the best way possible. The problem is she spent more time over the last month or so both TikToking and publicly complaining to anyone who will put a camera in front of her about how she could have made more money at a desk job for the last couple of years than she did while she was in the UFC, completely negating the fact that the reason she got to make all that money over the last couple of years was because she was in the UFC. The attention she got was because she was in the UFC. So while she's been on the injured reserve and Dancing with the Stars and rooting for Mr. Van Zandt to be a fucking dumbass underwear model over on the underground side of things, Amanda Hebus has been slowly working her way up the stack and training to be a fucking killer. And every time we've seen her get the opportunity to, she has been more and more dangerous than the last time we saw her. And she understands the significance of a win over a name like Paige Van Zandt. Paige Van Zandt might not be the number one contender, but she has a household recognizable name. And a victory over a name like that makes your name a household recognizable name. And that's exactly where Amanda Hebus wants to go. And I think that's exactly where she's going to go. I think this is going to be Paige Van Zandt's time to dance right the fuck out of the UFC.
I'm going to give it to Amanda Hebus for a completely different reason. Meter. I'm giving it to Amanda Hebus because she has the best the best abs in the UFC. She has the best abs in the UFC.
I could see
That's
that.
the reason she's going to win this fight. It has nothing to do with the fact that Paige Van Zandt wants out of the UFC. She doesn't want to be hanging out anymore. I haven't seen her chomping in the bit. All I've seen her do is complain. I don't think she's chomping the bit for this fight. I don't think her head's in this fight. I think she's getting into the ring with someone who could shred her face with her abs. So, yes, Amanda Hebus.
You know, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I will say that because I don't think Paige Van Zandt wins. However, I will give her this much credit where seems to be lacking from others. She still has the will to fight. Otherwise, she would have retired after breaking her arm not once, twice, having to have surgery on that fucker 3 goddamn times and still wants to come back and fight. Look, that tells me she's got some fucking heart. Look, hate her if you want. Hate her if she complains and gets on Dancing with the Stars and makes money where she can. Fucking hate her. Doesn't matter.
I don't blame her for making money.
She still has the will to fight. She's still willing to get back in there. She could have said, "Yeah, no, I'm done after this many surgeries." No, she got back in. She's fucking training again. Yeah, she's been out for 18 months at this point because her last fight was in January of last year, which consequently she fucking won.
Right.
Via armbar in case
Very
anybody
nice.
fucking.
Yeah, nice armbar too. Yeah.
And yeah, it was a very solid fucking armbar. I mean, yes, she's beaten some other soup cans that are, let's say, better at bare knuckle boxing. So she's fought some decent fucking fighters and won. She's not a bad fighter. Is she to Rebus's level? I don't think so. However, she's been on the sideline for so goddamn long. Who knows? Now, the caveat to all of this is, as much as I hate to say this, we base a lot of what we see from every fighter off of what we see on their social media pages. what we're seeing there on their social media pages is not always correct. So, yeah, you're right. I forgot to make sure you were ready with the sign before I moved on.
It's all
My
right.
fault.
It's all right. Season 3's been
So,
rough all the way across. It's all right.
yeah, it's been a rough start apparently. So, but as far as her career
Opportunity.
is concerned with the UFC, I think she wants to continue. I don't think this is the last we're going to see of her. Why? Because you know what? This right here and the will to fight is a moneymaker for the UFC.
True.
They will give her another contract if she wants it. Period. Whether she win, lose, or draw. Being as she won her last fight, she's not on a skid. Saying they'll give her another contract. That's without a shadow of doubt. If she wants it. Does she need it at this point? No. She's obviously doing just fucking fine the way she is. Is she gonna bitch and complain that the UFC doesn't pay enough? Yeah, but so is a lot of other fighters. What's fucking new? The UFC has been notorious for underpaying every fucking fighter. I will say that the only ones who are getting paid are your absolute top tier, been running the fucking gamut, holding down the fort, calling people out and saying exactly what they're going to do and do it. A la Conor McGregor's. Habib, as much as I hate to say this, he's getting to that point where they're going to pay him a lot of fucking money because he can wrestle fuck the shit out of everybody and still win. But then you have people like Paige Van Zandt here, who she has the face to make the company money. She doesn't have to win. How many times do you see a pretty blonde girl in there that's willing to fight? There's not very many of them out there. Anybody who says Holly Holm, I'll punch you right in the fucking throat. You shut your goddamn trap now.
You said pretty, that's why I didn't mention Holly.
Look, I'll say it. Between her and the Karate Hottie, prettiest girls in the fucking UFC. Paige Van Zandt.
Rachel Ostovich has entered the chat.
Yeah, that's fucking debatable. But either way, I'm just saying, there's money to be made off of faces. The UFC understands that. That's why they'll give her another contract. Do I think she's going to win? Not necessarily. But, I mean, who knows? We could see some crazy armbar shit, which I doubt, but I mean, I'm just saying it's out there, and she obviously has the will to fight. Otherwise, she wouldn't have signed the contract to come and do this.
Hell, I'll take Paige Van Zandt if nobody else is going to.
Somebody has to.
In a lot of trouble.
Just make sure the underwear model's not around.
Dude, no, like I could beat the fuck out of that guy. Nick could too. Shit, he's a fucking walking, talking, fucking garbage can. Shit.
Yep.
Might be in the UFC, but he ain't done shit with his career.
But later.
It's not a career; it's an opportunity.
Yeah. I mean, like TJ said, Paige, she's a talented fighter. She knows what the fuck she's doing whenever she goes into the octagon. She knows exactly what the fuck is up. And like, I hate to say it, but sex sells, and pretty blonde girl, like TJ said, yeah, that's gonna get some people to look at what the fuck the UFC is. But I really want to see Amanda beat the living fuck out of her and give her something to go dance about on TikTok next week.
I agree. Now, that being said, that's going to bring us to the exciting ladies fight on the 251 card, the rematch that quite literally every UFC fan has been waiting for since the oh shit that led to the end of the first match. The rematch of Jessica Andrade versus Thug Rose Namajunas. This could not be a better fucking match to have to solidify the validity of Fight Island, because titles are nice and titles are important and gold is fancy and shiny, but getting the one back that everyone agrees you had up until the craziest shit ever happened is important, not just for the legacy but for yourself. And with someone who is as focused on self-awareness as Rose Namajunas is, this fight is important for more than just her career. If she was only fighting for career, she would have never fought Joanna the second time and proved that the first one wasn't a fluke. If she was only fighting for career, she wouldn't have fought Andrade to begin with, because Andrade wasn't the fucking number one contender. Rose is fighting for Rose, and she said all week long she's in a better place now than she has been since she started fighting. Mentally, she is ready for whatever comes now. If she gets to be back to the champion, she's ready to carry the gold. If she never makes it back to the gold itself, she's ready to just fight until she's done fighting. She's in a better place mentally than she ever has been. And if there's anything that is important in the world of fighting that we have seen make a discernible and notable difference in a fighter's performance, it's that mental peace, that mental clarity, that stability, that ground that they know regardless, they're all right. There's a few other fighters that have that. We've seen it in the Cowboy Cerrones, in that, oh, well, he got me tonight, doesn't mean I'm done. We've seen that in the Max Holloways, in the, he might have been the better man tonight, that doesn't mean he was the better man. We have seen that in great fighters. It's not about what you're capable of, it's what you're capable of dealing with that will make ultimately the difference. And we've seen Rose Namajunas prove that she is arguably the best strawweight lady the UFC has and has had on the roster. Now we get to see what happens when she takes a hard loss and gets herself back to where she's ready to go and comes back to get what's hers. And I think there is nothing in the way of Rose getting back to that belt. I think she walks right through Jessica Andrade. I think she goes right to fucking Wiley, and I think we see a great fucking fight there, but I think Thug Rose is fucking back, and you better watch the fuck out if you're a lady in 115.
Yeah, I up until media this week, like, I wasn't sure exactly where Rose was, just because
She stays
you've seen
quiet.
so many different, yeah, you've seen so many different sides to her in interviews, you know, as she's working her way back. Like she was telling you about, you know, I'm not in a good place mentally right now, so I can't take a fight, or you know, this fight looked right, but something happened outside of fighting, and it made me realize that I didn't want to take this fight.
Yep.
And so for it to all wind up right back where it started, like, it's like, it couldn't be more picture perfect. And up until like I said, media this week, I didn't know which Rose you were going to get, and she had full on Terminator face on this week. Like, she looked like Thug Rose of old. So I have to give it to Rose, because I agree. I think she's going to walk through Andrade. She had that fight won until she got dropped on her fucking noggin.
Yep.
So, I mean, it's Thug Rose is back, and she's walking through that door, and I can't wait for Rose versus Wiley. That's gonna be fucking awesome.
Fuck yes.
Don't worry, Rose. I'm looking past Andrade for you. You just focus
right,
on that.
Yeah, you focus here. We got the looking ahead for you.
Yeah, I'm 100% on board this fucking boat, because up until that holy shit, why didn't you let go moment, she was running Jessica Andrade fucking ragged.
Mm-hmm.
And for those of you who
sure
don't know,
her boxing.
That's the UFC free fight. Sorry to cut you off, TJ. That's actually the UFC free fight right now. So for those of you who don't remember, or it isn't as clear in your head as it is in ours, that's the UFC free fight right now. You can go rewatch that shit as soon as this episode's over.
I hope what she learned from that experience is let go of the fucking Kimura. I know you're trying to use it as a switch if you get taken down, and that's great. But once they figure out to pick you up and pile drive you, you have to let go. Hopefully, that was drilled into her head by both her coach
Pat.
and Pat Barry there, which ironically has been her fucking coach for this fight camp because of the fucking reunion tour. But apparently he's doing fantastic, and who better could you have for a fucking striking coach as one of the greatest fucking leg kickers of all time? Not to mention he's a fucking just phenomenal kickboxer. Pat Barry's a fucking amazing man as far as
and great
a
human
fighter is
being.
concerned.
And great human being. He's a fucking charity-driven dude. Those are few and far between these days if there's not a spotlight on you. That's been Pat Barry's MO for a minute now.
And that's a good portion of the why he doesn't fight anymore. He looked forward to the future rather than to stay with the fight game, which, hey, nothing wrong with that. He had a fantastic career in the UFC, and he knew when to lay them down before shit got bad.
Yep.
So, my hat's off to him, but no offense to Jessica Andrade, but she's not of the same caliber. She's that old school style fucking bulldog your way in there type fighter where Rose is not. She picks people apart. We watched her fucking just decimate fucking the Polish twice. She knocked the pierogi right out of her. Then Andrade, she was running her just fucking ragged until she forgot to let go of a Kimura. Look, happens to the best of them. I mean, we've seen it time and time again. Somebody forgets to let go of something or refuses to, and they get knocked out because they get slammed. And this goes way back. You go back to when Matt Hughes first won his first fucking title. That's how he won it. He was in triangle choke, fucking about to go to sleep. Slam. In fact, he didn't even know he had won the title right away because he was just coming out of the blood choke.
Yep.
So, look, let go of shit when you're way high above the canvas. Just fucking let go. Stop your fall. Make it better for yourself. You got to give up eventually with things like that. Hopefully she's learned her lesson, but I think she dominates this fight because I'm pretty sure she has learned her lesson after that.
Yeah, Thug Rose all the way. She looked like such the better fighter in that fight up until that point. I mean, I think it's already been said. Rose Nami. And Pat Barry's got a fucking I seen a funny comment in the what was it? One of the UFC videos that they do. It was like the most like comment. It said, when are Rose Namajunas and Pat Barry going to get married? It seems like they've been engaged for 15 years now. It always says, this is my fiance, Pat Barry. And I was like, that's pretty funny. I guess another championship would help that out. I don't know.
At that kind of point, I'm getting that back. It's kind of got to force his hand and be like, look, I put a belt around my waist twice. Let's get this thing fucking done.
To be fair, as long as he's not calling himself Mr. Namajunas, I'm okay with whatever they want to do.
Does she change her name to Thug Roseberry if they get married?
Roseberry?
Roseberry, yeah.
Could be worse.
Rosebud, Roseberry.
Oh shit. Yeah. If Rose is, as she said, in a better place mentally now, and if she can come in exactly as dominant and technical as she used to be, like, the strawweight doesn't stand a fucking chance. she's gonna steamroll all the way through to the fucking top, and it's gonna be just like that good old Ronda Rousey day, where fucking nobody could touch, nobody could touch her, nobody could fucking come close.
I agree.
I think Wiley and her are relatively on the same page. I think that's going to be a really exciting fight.
I thought so until Wiley versus Joanna.
And that's just the fact that Yolanda has like she would not stop.
But that's her style, though. And look at how Rose compensated for that and played into it. Because for the great fight that Wiley versus Joanna was, Wiley took a lot more damage in their 5 rounds than in all 8 rounds that Rose has been in there with her, or all 6 rounds or whatever the fuck it was. They put on a hell of a fucking fight, but Wiley was way more willing to stand in there and take one to give one. Rose just wasn't there when Joanna was swinging. And if that's any indication of how a Rose Wiley fight is going to go, I think it's going to end up making Rose Wiley look a whole lot like Rose Joanna 2 did if it goes the distance.
Fair enough.
Either way, I'm excited to see it.
I think it's gonna be fun. Yeah, either way, no matter what, I think that's
Yeah, I'm on board either way.
it's gonna be a really good fight.
Hell yes.
Okay.
That being said, though, that's going to bring us into the fight that is commonly being referred to now as the People's Co-Main Event, the third from last card, the Co-Main Event Eve fight, if you will. This is a weird one. There's no other way to put it. This is a fucking weird fight. When the cringy one himself finally said he was going to shut the fuck up and walk away, he did half of those things. He did walk away. The problem with that is that when you walk away as a champion, there's no direct lineage. Like, if Cheeto Fingers McGee got fucking whacked, we would just have Religious Ken in charge. Like, there's an order of succession. That doesn't happen with a belt in MMA. When Triple Cringe walked the fuck away, it didn't immediately get passed down to the number 1 contender. Now we have a fight between who was the number 1 contender and someone else to see who becomes the champion and then carries that lineage on forward now. The problem is, in the 135 division, there's a lot of number 1 challengers. Realistically speaking, there are at least 4 or 5 different guys right now that arguably you could say are the number 1 challenger. I don't believe that Aljamain Sterling is any of those, despite him being on Fight Island for some fucking reason as a backup. Fuck him. But there are several names you could say are the number 1 challenger that could arguably be in this fight for the now vacant belt. The one thing you cannot dispute, no matter who you pick the number 1 challenger to be, the one thing you cannot dispute is that whoever your number 1 challenger in this division is, they have to fight Peter Yan for that belt. That's the one factor that isn't up for debate. Even Dana himself agreed. Whoever ends up being on the other side of that octagon, the staple side is that Peter Yan is there. That man has torn his way through this fucking division, piece by piece, no matter what obstacle they put in front of him. They went so far as to pull the California middle-aged man out of retirement and back a truckload of money up to his house to try and stop Piotr Yan. And it didn't fucking work. It had the opposite effect. If anything, it gave Peter Yan a chance to look fucking spectacular against a guy who everyone was singing his fucking praises, even after retiring and coming back out of retirement. Going into that fight, everyone was singing his praises, to the extent that Dana White publicly said, coming out of retirement cold, if Uriah Faber had beat Peter Yan, he was going to get a fucking title shot. Dana was willing to pull previously used talent back out of the recycle bin to try and stop Petr Yan's rise to the fucking top, and it didn't work. So now, you've got the undeniable guy who's going to fight for this vacant belt, but who do you put against him? You've got your Corey Sandhagens. You've got your Dominic Cruzes. You've got your Cody Garbrands. You've got your Pedro Munozes. You've got your Frankie Edgars now. The one name that nobody thought was going to end up being the other side of this match was Jose Aldo. Jose Aldo, in this latter portion of his career, has decided that instead of doing the thing that most other fighters do and cutting less weight, getting a little closer to your natural walking around weight, Jose's going the other way. Jose was one of the greatest 45ers ever. Could have went to 55 and had a great fucking run the rest of his career. Decided he's going to take the other direction. He's taking the path less chosen. He's going down to 35. He has one fight at 135 pounds against Marlon Moraes, who, to his credit, did not look like the Marlon Moraes we know and love. There were glimpses of him, but it wasn't the Marlon that we know and love. It was a controversial fight, but Jose lost. Marlon won that fight. And off that loss, in his first time in a new weight class, Jose Aldo has managed to get himself the title shot. We are realistically sitting here talking about Jose Aldo for his second fight in a new division, the first one being a loss, his second fight being the title fight against a guy who has literally fought tooth, claw, and nail and drug his way through every obstacle to the top of the stack. It's just a weird fucking scenario. And the problem is that now that we're here and we have to talk about this fight, how do you talk about Jose Aldo at 130 pounds? Because we've only seen him one time, and what we saw of him, while it looked decent, it didn't look terrible, it was not the Jose Aldo that we are used to seeing. His weight was different, his movement was different, his timing was different. He had some flashes of, quote-unquote, the Aldo that we know. But by and large, that was not what we fucking saw, because everything about the fight was different. And now coming off of that, we have to try and figure out how the fuck he's going to do against the guy who's made his career at this class and gone through the who's who to get there. Hats off to Jose Aldo for making a fucking career of a career and being in there with some of the best. But at this point, the future's here, man. Sooner or later, it's inevitable. You got to get the fuck out of the way or get rolled through. And I think this is that moment where, unfortunately, we're going to see Jose Aldo get rolled through because he won't get the fuck out of the way. I think Petr Yan is going to fuck him up. I think we see Petr Yan put Jose Aldo to sleep in the second round and take that belt definitively home to be defended for a good long while to come.
I get where Dana White's coming from with putting Jose Aldo on this card in this position. Like, I totally get it. It's sheer name recognition. Get people on board. I get it. You know, Jose Aldo's still got a name. He's not all that old. It's not like he's all that super long in the tooth. I had assumed that he was older than he was, and TJ pointed out the fact that he's in his early 30s.
Yep.
And Jose Aldo's still got plenty of time left. Like, he's not looking at the back. He's not looking at the back half of his career. You know, he can do whatever the hell he wants. He's one of the all-time greats. He can pick and choose what he wants to do.
Yep. And
quite frankly, for the most part, he's earned that. He's earned that right. I don't know that he's earned the right to go and fight Petr Yan, but Dana White said, you know, we need a big name. Jose Aldo's here. I mean, let's throw him against Petr Yan. I almost feel bad for Jose Aldo because Petr Yan is a fucking wrecking ball right now, and he's angry. And he's really angry. So yeah, I mean, I'm going Petr Yan. Petr Yan's finally getting that fucking belt, and he's going home. Yeah, there's no more excuses on behalf of the UFC for this one. Petr Yan deserved that belt a while back, so, or at least a shot
right
at getting it. So here we go. Here we go. It's time. So that's all I got.
All right. Well, let me jump right into this. Leon, he's been in the UFC not even 3 years at this point. I think he's barely been in 2 years now.
Yeah.
Albeit, every time he has fought, he has destroyed motherfuckers. Absolutely demolished them. So yes, this half of the fight, I agree with 100%. However, this, like you said earlier, this whole no lineage thing, you can pretty much throw anybody you fucking want in there. Okay, I'll start there. Jose Aldo, I can't say that he doesn't belong to be here because his fight with Marias, I thought he won personally. That decision, I thought he won, but that was my own thoughts. It was pretty fucking close fight. There were some flashes of the Aldo of old in there, which was fantastic to see. Maybe this was the right move for him, dropping down a weight class, coming to bantamweight. Maybe that was a warm up fight. I'll say it. Do I necessarily think he should be the one in the bantamweight division here? Not necessarily, but I can't say no to it either, though. But as far as the where the money trail leads, you put where the money trail goes, especially when you're um, starting your first of all of the title fights on Fight Island with a vacant title fight. You got to throw some money at it. Jose Aldo brings money. That name, the legacy. As long as he reigned, look, I get it. They put him in here for a good reason. Yeah, he didn't get the nod in his last fight. Is he going to win this fight? I don't think so. And I'm saying that with a question mark for a reason. Jose Aldo is still young. As much as people want to say put him out to pasture, I think they're dead fucking wrong. I'm pretty sure he's got a lot left in the gas tank. He just needed that extra push, and I think he's found it by dropping to bantamweight, which, to be honest, I didn't think he was ever going to make the fucking weight. But when we saw him in that Marias fight, he looked dead, but he was fucking just shredded, and he actually looked good when it came time for the fight. So I think we're gonna see a fucking war. I really think that. I don't think Prion puts him away as easily as he did fucking split chin himself. But you're also talking two different level of fighters there too. Raya Faber, not on the same level as Jose Aldo. I'll say it.
Well, they proved that
Right?
all the way back to WEC. They proved that.
Yeah. So just saying. I think he's going to have a much tougher fight with Jose than he would with some of the other contenders that are in there right now, that are up in the upper echelon of the bantamweight, purely because of how Jose moves. And I think that's something you're not going to see with some of those other fighters. But I don't think Jose wins this. I think Peter wins this. And I'm thinking it goes at minimum 3 rounds. If he's going to put Jose away, it'll probably be closer to the fourth or fifth round. And I say that as an if. Because who knows? Jose might last.
It's a
And you know
possibility.
what? He could very well shock everybody in the MMA community who's writing him off, which I think is a poor choice to write him off completely because he's been here before. He knows what to do. This isn't new territory to him. But we'll see.
I was going to say Peter Yan, and then I was thinking Marlon Moraes he's a motherfucker too, and you know he almost beat Cejudo. Cejudo, as much as he's very cringy and all that, he is a well-rounded fighter, and we thought Marlon Moraes was going to be the next champion. And Jose Aldo, it was a close fight. I think he won too, but it was so close that I'm not surprised that they didn't give him the win. And yeah, I don't think it's going to be easy for Peter Yan, and Jose Aldo's just got way more experience, just way more. I don't know how well Peter Yan is at grappling and shit. I haven't really. I know he's very good. He's pretty damn good.
He's good. He's real good.
I'll go with Aldo just because I don't think that's the popular thing to go with. Okay, yeah, but it's also I think you wanted to call him Jose Home. Jose Home, maybe. Okay.
Hashtag where's Jose Waldo?
I do think there's a couple other people that deserve the championship than him. I actually think the Marlon Moraes thing would have been nice, and Peter Yan would have been nice.
Would have been a great fight.
It would have been a hell of a matchup, yeah.
That I even would have liked to see Aljamain Sterling versus him.
You're trying to get kicked off the show, aren't you? First this fucking Mike Perry shit, now he's fucking Team Aljo. This fucking guy, man.
I'm not Team Aljo, but I'd like to see that fight.
You say new guy.
Jose, though, I will say that the leg kicks going away does show his age. I know he's young, but it does show, like, I don't think it's so much like when you're 35, you're old for MMA. I think it's like when you have 15 years in MMA, you're
Right.
old for MMA.
Yeah, when you've been
Especially
doing
for them
when you've been
little
doing it for a decade and a half, yeah, you've got the
Yeah.
mileage. I agree.
Yeah, and everybody always talks about that. He let go of them leg kicks, let go of them leg kicks, let go of them leg kicks, and he doesn't use them, and it's because it hurts him. It's just not good for him.
So, first, since everybody talked about the whole Aldo only having two, this would only being his second fight, I'm gonna start off with that. Aldo is absolutely a fucking recognizable name inside of inside of the UFC. He's been through just the best of the best of the 45 weight division, kept fucking trucking, kept going. I understand and respect the decision of putting him in this fight. I don't like it because, yeah, it's a name and it's money, but there's other people that have been scratching and clawing their way up the bantamweight division to get to a position like this. I think those people deserve it over somebody that just, I'm a huge name. I've been in this sport for 15 years. I won it, but I haven't fought. I haven't deserved the fight for this division, regardless of stepping up a division or stepping down a division. I don't like that. But regardless, he is a fucking fantastic fighter. He's great at what he does. If Dana White gives him a title shot, he gets a title shot. Point blank. Period. Jose Aldo is a fucking fabulous fighter. People are putting him off in this fight, and that's honestly kind of a fucked up thing. A lot of people are going straight at Peter Yan because he's undefeated in the UFC right now. Yeah, he's undefeated, but Peter Yan hasn't fought somebody to the caliber of a Jose Aldo yet. Mm-hmm. I do think if the fight stops early, it'd be for Peter Yan. If it goes deep, I don't think Yan is gonna have enough knowledge and know-how to really dominate going deep. Aldo's been there 100 fucking times. He's got years on him. He's been through the fucking war and back, which is a good thing and a bad thing because that's some fucking mileage, and Yan could really use that against him and fucking fuck his world up. If it's within, I'm gonna say second going into the third round, I would say Peter Yan, but if it's going deep, it's fucking Aldo.
Interesting. I suppose that's a possibility because we haven't really seen Peter Yan go into deep waters too much, and we know that Aldo can go 5 if he has to. But we also know that Aldo can go 5 if he has to at 45. We haven't seen Aldo's gas tank tested since he's dropped down yet either. This is going to be a test because Jan's not going to be a walk in the park any way you look at it.
Yeah. And I take nothing away from Jose Aldo.
No, absolutely. And
Don't get me wrong.
I'm not writing him off just because he's fucking Jose Aldo. I'm writing him off because of the situation that he's gotten himself into here.
Yeah. Yeah, he took a bunch of money to go to 35, and he took a bunch of money to take this fight.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we'll see how that decision pays out for him. As they say, bold strategy, Cotton.
Yeah.
Yeah, it works out.
That's right.
Could Jose Aldo learn a little bit of English, though, being in a sport?
Why would he bother?
Yeah,
There's just a little bit.
He's the king of Rio, though. Why does he need English?
Yeah.
Oh, he's a king.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, you can't tell
He's rocking
royalty.
that Portuguese hard. He doesn't.
That's right.
He doesn't need nothing.
That's right. That scar means "fuck you." I speak Portuguese.
That's right.
If I was the king of Britain, I wouldn't learn English either.
I wouldn't blame you a bit. Oh shit! But that, boys and girls, will bring us to the actual co-main event. Probably, with the exception of Jessica Rose, the most anticipated rematch on the planet right now. John versus Reyes is up there. I definitely want to see that again. I wouldn't mind seeing John versus Tiago again, but I tell you what, if I get to pick two, it's Rose versus Jessica, and it's Alex versus Max, the run back. A title fight is close when it goes to decision and the champion doesn't believe he won and asks the boss for a rematch. Alexander Volkanovski, as soon as he won the belt, and I use that phrase only officially, not actually, turned to Dana White and said, I want to run that back. We need to do that again. I need to put the stamp on that. That wasn't a definitive victory. And it's funny because even most of the pros agree. To the point Chael talked about it 3 hours ago this evening. That he and his friends that he was watching the fight with unanimously agreed. Max won that fucking fight. And not closely. Max easily won that goddamn fight. But they were in Australia. And they got the decision for Volkanovski. But like I said, even Volkanovski didn't believe that he won that fight. He wanted to run it back immediately. That tells you something, man. And that kind of a mindset going into your quote-unquote first title defense as the rematch of the guy you took the belt from, allegedly, it carries a lot of pressure. Like I said earlier, we've seen Max Holloway be the definition of it is what it is. We've seen him lose and take it with as much grace as some of the best take a win. He's unfazed by the outcome unless he's disappointed with his performance. Because he's not obsessed with the moment. He understands this is an opportunity that not many get. And that one down doesn't mean you can't go back up. This down that Max is coming off of wasn't nearly the down that a lot of other people have to deal with. Max won a fight that he lost. And now he gets the chance to right that wrong in the eyes of history. He gets the chance to run back the only man that has made him look remotely human in his division so far. And not to take away from Alexander Volkanovski, it's not like Alexander just signed up yesterday, fought a soup can, and got a lucky shot over Max. Alexander has absolutely torn his way through that featherweight division. He earned his shot at Max. There's no doubt about that. The doubt comes in when you look at the performance. when you look at the difference in the impacts, in the significance of the significant strikes in the first match, in the way the game plan was interrupted by Max in the first match. Alex got shots in. Alex landed some nice ones. But I don't know anybody really that says, oh yeah, he easily won that unanimously, all 5 rounds. That was all Alexander Volkanovski. Max just got handled for 5 rounds. Max lost that belt. I don't know a single person that says that. Hardcore casual, foaming at the mouth, fucking rabid lunatic like myself, or somebody who just watches the video for the first time ever. Haven't heard a single person say that Max just lost all 5 rounds, but there was a judge in that fight who said that that was 5-0 Volkanovski. The other 2 judges in that fight said it was 4-1 Volkanovski. So that brings us back to that old conversation we keep having to fucking have. How do we get better judging? If the world of people who compete in this sport and the world of people who officiate this sport and the world of people who cover the sport as journalists all unanimously agree the judges got it wrong, how do we end up at a point where we still have to come back and get this as a rematch instead of a correct judgment the first time? I don't have an answer to that, but what I do have an answer to is who's taking this one. Max takes this fucking belt home. I think Max is coming in. He knows that he just let the first one get away from him by letting it go to the judges. He knows what Alex did that made it look like he was doing better. He's talked about it openly. I think Max has got exactly what he needs to make the adjustments that he didn't have adjusted in the first fight to take his fucking belt back, and I think the Blessed Express gets back on track.
I disagree. I do think Max Holloway won that first fight. I think the Blessed Express got robbed. Volkanovski is absolutely torn through the division. He made Max look human. He's had nothing but time to sit there and analyze how that fight went. And he's a brilliant fucking fighter. Volkanovski he's one of the smarter fighters in the UFC. He came in with a game plan. It got a little bit derailed, but a lot of the significant strikes that they said Holloway landed, if you go watch the fight, he skated a lot of those punches. Like, he was taking them on the shoulders, he was taking them on the neck. He wasn't actually taking a lot of the shots that people said that he was. That said, I mean, Max put the fist to him in that fight. But I think Volkanovski's had time. I think with the team that he's on, I think that he's gotten better. And that's the thing about Volkanovski, is every time we've seen him, he's gotten better. He's gotten better. We haven't seen him plateau yet. And I think we're going to come back in. I think this is going to be a fucking amazing fight. I think this is going to be fantastic. I hope it goes to decision again, because it was so good. It was such a great fight. And I don't think, as much as I like Max Holloway, he's one of the coolest people in the UFC. I don't think that he's going to take this back. I just don't see it. Because Volkanovski in that last one showed that he could go 5. He showed that he could go 5 and keep up. So if he's gotten better again from what we saw last time, he can take Max Holloway. So that's my thoughts. Disagree if you want, but I'm going Volkanovski again, because that dude's done nothing but win. He's done nothing but win since he came in. He's done nothing but get better.
Interesting indeed.
This one is a tough one for me to call, for namely one reason. One, I think Max got robbed fucking terribly. We shouldn't even be having this fight. However, this sets up a great fucking possibility of a trilogy here, which would be fucking fantastic for the fans. But I went back and I did a little looking. Has anybody else noticed that Max Holloway's output has dropped over his last couple of fights?
Yeah.
Like, how much he's actively striking during a fight. Like you go back to the Brian Ortega fight. That man dropped so many fucking fists during that fight, and it's slowly been on the decline since. Not a huge noticeable amount. Like if you're watching the fight live, you're not going to notice the difference. But if you go back and look at the numbers of actual thrown strikes, it's steadily decreased. Volkanovski's when he fought with Volkanovski went after his legs, which also decreased the amount of strikes he was throwing because he had to worry about leg kicks. But Max also was not checking those leg kicks like he should have been.
Right.
So I think what this fight is really going to come down to is can Max put out the same output that he used to through 5 rounds? We know he is more than capable of it. Can he check kicks this time? And are the judges going to rob him if he is doing exactly as he did when they fought last? Alexander, on the other hand, he has progressively gotten better, which makes this a bit of a tall task for Max Holloway. And as Max would say, that is what it is. We're going to have to find out. Alexander Volkanovski, he's a fucking animal. Max isn't a fucking animal. I think what possibly may have, outside of the fact of where they fought last, I think some of those judges may possibly have been stuck on the Max Holloway Dustin Poirier fight. Because Poirier made Max look human, but that was also a weight class above where he fights.
That's what I was going to say. He did, but that was different world too.
Yeah, so, but look, those judges are not, there's some people have seen that got around. Those judges, they scroll through social media just like everyone else. And if they're following the UFC prior to that fight, they saw lead ups and things like that. I'm sure that fight popped up on their radar and went, oh, he can be beat. So could that have swayed the decision? Maybe, possibly, I don't fucking know. But I think what this comes down to is Max needs to increase his output again, because his output has gone down significantly over his last 3, 4, 5 fights. So I think if he gets back to where he was before, and I'm not so sure I believe that he's been training via Zoom.
Yeah, I don't buy that either at all.
I don't buy that either. Look, everybody else has figured out a way around it, whether your gyms are closed or not, bringing people to your fucking house. Fuck, there was who was it that they were talking about where they had fucking rented a goddamn house across the street so people could train together for this. I'm saying it's a possibility out there. To be honest, I think Max wins this, gets his title back, and sets up a fucking great trilogy fight.
Yep.
Do I think we'll see the trilogy right away? Yes, I do. Because if one goes one way, one goes the other, you have to run it back a third time immediately. Sorry, featherweight division. If Max wins this, that belt is on hold for everybody else. You guys are in a fucking holding pattern, guaranteed.
Well, that and unlike at 135, there really isn't another clear-cut, definitive next guy at 45. At 35, you've got, like I said, you got 4 or 5 guys you could argue could step in right now on short notice, and it wouldn't be argued that they deserve the opportunity. You don't have that at 45. At 45, you could stand to have a trilogy go right now.
The only one that you could possibly see getting the next fight there would be Zabit.
Or Cater, if Cater does something, or Egg if they do something dramatic on their fight.
Right. But even then, that I'm saying as it sits right now.
Yeah,
I'm saying as it sits right now, something would have to happen to interrupt the possibility of that trilogy just going right into it.
Yeah, the only way I could see that would be Zabit. At this given moment, Zabit is the only one. Because I think Brian Ortega is still ranked way up there.
And he and the zombie are still tangled up too.
Yeah, and he got mangled up pretty bad by Holloway. So I'm just saying, the top of that division, not very deep at the moment. However, There is one other person that everybody keeps forgetting about in that division. That's Josh Emmett. That dude has been doing some fucking work and doing things people say he can't do,
Very
knocking
true.
motherfuckers out.
Putting on fight of the fucking year so far.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm
shit.
just saying. There's some out there, but as far as it goes right now, I think we see an immediate trilogy.
And then that gives time for Emmett to heal that fucking knee up.
Yep.
That's right.
Get that knee healed.
So I see things a little differently. I think maybe I have to go back and watch the fight, but I actually think Holloway lost that fight. It was very close. I think he lost that fight, and I think he just didn't look good that fight. I think he might have been getting frustrated with the leg kicks. I don't know. He just didn't look as loose. He didn't look as happy to be there until like the end. Like he started making a little bit of adjustments. I don't see Volkanovski beating him two times in a row. I just don't see it. I like Holloway a lot, and I became a big fan, especially after the Ortega fight, and then even with him going up and fighting Dustin, I thought that was. I mean, I think he fought better in the Dustin fight than he did in the Volkanovski fight, and he was. I mean, he was definitely outweighed in that fight. There was definitely a size difference that you could definitely notice between them two guys. Yeah, I think Holloway I just think he learns from these mistakes. One thing I do like is I keep forgetting what the name of that damn YouTube show is that UFC puts on. It's like
Embedded?
Embedded, yeah, with the Volkanovski and Max Holloway in their rooms at the island, and I thought it was hilarious that Volkanovski's coach says we're just planning on winning with points with leg kicks, and then Volkanovski starts doing the
double
dancing
kicks.
leg kick.
Yeah, the double kicks.
I thought that was funny that he was making jokes of that. It was
Yeah.
like it's good sense of humor. I do like Volkanovski a lot. I just don't see it two times in a row for him.
I'm with old Nick over here. I don't see that going twice. It like the second you watched the first fight, I thought Max lost. I thought that was a good decision. I was also shit faced drunk, so the next day I rewatched it, and like you could see clear as day, like that was Max through and through. He had that fight. Whenever you look at the numbers for the fight, every single strike thrown was considered a significant strike from Max. And TJ said it. TJ is not the first person this week that I've heard bring up the numbers and the pace from Holloway. Not the first person that I've actually heard bring up the numbers and his pace with his fights. I don't think Volkanovski can beat Max again. Volkanovski is an absolutely fucking amazing fighter. He's a force to be reckoned with in the UFC. So is Max though. I want Max to be able to get what was rightfully fucking stolen from him. That shit was stolen. Point blank period. There's no other fucking way around it. I want Max to get what is his and what he shouldn't have fucking lost. It's gonna be hard as fuck though. And it's gonna be a good ass fight.
Yeah, no, it's not going to be an easy fight either way it goes. It's not going to be a walk in the park.
I mean, you can say stolen, but
Stolen.
you let that shit go to the judges, it's your own fucking fault.
Yeah, but then it's the judge's decision to rank it properly.
We've seen it with, like Meter said that. I mean, we've seen it over and over again. Like you cannot leave it to the judges.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what fucking schmo they pulled out of what fucking closet to sit down at that table and try and make some hash marks, while dudes are throwing 5 or 6 fucking blows per 10 seconds. When you're fighting it at the pace these guys do, like you cannot trust them. You have to fucking finish it. If it goes to decision again, it's fucking Volkanovski. He's gonna take it by decision. Like,
I don't put it past Max Holloway to make it look like I think he can make it look like an easy fight. I really do. I think that he's completely
he couldn't do
capable
it the
of
first time. He couldn't do it the first time. And like I said, I saw him skip. I think Holloway won that fight. I thought it was a very close fight. And I saw Volkanovski skating a lot of the fucking blows. So I get where, you know, taking some significant strikes off of Holloway came from. I get it. Because he was skating blows, like he was putting them on different parts of his body that aren't going to fucking affect. Like I get it. I think it was a close fight, and I think Holloway won. But Volkanovski, like I said, he just keeps getting better. And Holloway's been Max Holloway for fucking years. Like his game plan doesn't change a whole lot. He can adjust on the fly pretty well, but you never know what fucking Volkanovski's been working on and what he's gotten better at. Like we could see some sort of bizarre ass flying submission out of him. We don't know, because every time he steps in the ring, his game just gets better and better and better. And he's the champ right now. So he's got the championships fucking, what do they call it? The benefit of the doubt is going to go to the champ. So yeah, if this goes to decision, I don't see it going Max Holloway's way.
It's gonna be interesting. It's definitely gonna be
gonna
worth
be fucking
watching.
fantastic.
Yeah, it's gonna be worth everyone stopping what you're doing Saturday night to watch if you're not watching already.
Yeah.
Australians.
It's gonna be more interesting than the main event's gonna be, for sure.
I agree. I agree.
Australians are tough as fucking nails, and so are Hawaiians. So that makes it a fucking fun fight right there.
It's gonna be brilliant.
Yeah, it's gonna be a banger. That's for damn sure. But that brings us to the main event of the evening. It's that time, ladies and gentlemen. Shifting seas could not stop this. A global pandemic could not stop this. Even a Trump 2020 face mask could not stop this. Boys and girls, it's baptism time. Marty from Nebraska is putting his undeserved strap on the line against Street Jesus. It is official. It goes down Saturday night. We get to see the, I'm using air quotes because it's his words, not mine, Nigerian Nightmare versus Jorge Masvidal. Game Bread goes to work on Saturday night. I said it before, and I'll say it again. I know it's broken record, and I don't give a shit. No matter what I feel about a fighter, I try to give credit where credit is due. In this particular matchup, Kamaru Usman, by leaps and bounds, has the wrestling pedigree in his favor. The problem is that Jorge Masvidal has basically spent the last 4 years perfecting his takedown defense. At the same time, crisply and strategically fine-tuning his very, very dangerous striking pedigree. There are several just recent, disturbingly effective knockouts that Jorge Masvidal has inflicted. There are serious eyeball-splitting punches and elbows that he has delivered. There are takedowns that he has stopped cold with just one knee. You don't get that same pedigree of action when you look across the octagon at Kamaru Usman. Yes, he's a wrestler. He can wrestle. But his striking is ugly, and it's sloppy, and his defense is dog shit. And his gas tank isn't what he makes it out to be. We've seen him slow down hard when you get towards the end of championship rounds. He might have got around the MAGA moron, but the MAGA moron had the same fucking problem. He slowed down hard when you get towards the end of the fight. Because you make your output so high, trying to rely on that wrestling, is going to zap you. And that's always Marty's game plan, with the exception of when he fought the MAGA moron. And that's because we had a quote-unquote wrestling badass versus a quote-unquote wrestling badass. So neither one of them wanted to actually fucking wrestle, which is how we see those matchups go more often than not. But this ain't that. This is a guy in Kamaru Usman who really thinks that he's the best welterweight, that he's the best striker, that he's the best wrestler, that he's the best at everything, that he's going to be the name that welterweight gets remembered. And that's just not the case. That's just not the case at all. The fact that he's in this conversation comes solely down to the fact that Tyron Woodley got complacent, to the fact that Colby Covington wasn't as good as he thought he was. It comes down to the fact that Kamaru Usman has not had to face the level of competition other welterweight champions before him have had to come through. And that challenge comes Saturday night, because Kamaru Usman has never faced a striker the likes of Jorge Masvidal. He has never faced anyone with the precision in the power of Kamaru Usman. Of Jorge Masvidal. Now, to be fair, Tyron used to have that precision and power. And if Kamaru Usman would have fought the same Tyron Woodley that Robbie Lawler did, we wouldn't be having this conversation. But Kamaru Usman got the benefit of getting a lazy and a complacent, set in his ways Tyron Woodley. So he was able to snatch that fucking belt right off his goddamn waist. And he only had to defend it against the fucking MAGA moron, who we've all seen wasn't as good as he thought he was. Wasn't as good as anybody thought he was. Especially against Marty from Nebraska. The problem is, Saturday night, Marty from Nebraska has to step in there with Jorge Masvidal. And Gamebred is beyond ready, capable, and willing to take on a challenge of this caliber. And I think that come Sunday morning, the welterweight division is going to look very, very interesting, because I think we've got and new. I think Marty gets slept. I don't think he sees a third round.
I've been waiting all week to say this. The resurrection has happened. Street Jesus is alive and well, and he is baptizing motherfuckers one after another. Look, I will take the words straight out of his mouth. For anybody who doesn't know, other than what they've seen recently, Jorge's been around for a long fucking time. We're talking way back. Let's take this all the way back to, I'm sitting at McDonald's. I'm eating a cheeseburger. I get a call from Kimbo Slice. Hey, we got a fight in this guy's backyard. Bring your ass over there. 5 minutes later, he's fighting. Ponytail and all.
$50.
Yeah, not even a huge payday, but look, the man will fight anywhere. Now, which brings me to this wonderful thing. Oh my God, he took it on short notice. Look, this fight was in the works. The UFC just didn't want to pay Jorge what he was worth.
This was the original date for it, too.
This was the original fight that was supposed to happen. And when they couldn't come to terms with paying Jorge what he is worth, they get the next cheapest guy in line, Gilbert Burns, because he said he'd fight his teammate. He didn't give a shit. As Jorge said on the interview, he said he knew it was going to happen. Now, short notice, UFC calls him back and says, hey, look, we need somebody to step in. Can you do it? He's getting paid now. So he's getting paid what he's worth. And he gets to do something he loves, which is baptize motherfuckers. So I'm pretty excited to see this. Look, it's Marty from Nebraska, because you know what? As much as everybody fucking hates Ben Askren, he'll forever be known as Marty from Nebraska because of Ben Askren. Which, you know, that brings Ben Askren's name into the news again this week, because he's gonna get to watch himself get knocked out for the fucking next week until this is over.
Yep.
So, but come on, Usman, that dude is a decision champ. That's it, a decision champ. His fights have been decision after decision after decision. He's trying to be Khabib without the wrestling pedigree that Khabib has. Period. Nigerian nightmare all you want. In this case, you're nothing more than a wet dream. And I'm just wondering which type of buffet you're going out on with your baptism here. I say Jorge Masvidal all day and new. And let Kamaru Usman go fight old MAGA hat himself and let them run it back below him. And then let Jorge go and he's already made 2 call-outs he wants already. One in Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, because he would love to run that one back. And he even gave Wonderboy credit of, hey, he was the better man that night. He had my number. Yep. I'm like, that right there, let him fight who he wants, dude.
Yeah, no, that's an admirable call-out at that point.
It really is. Get back your loss. Although he said he's had some other losses, but he didn't want to call those ones out. He said that was one I felt I could win. Okay, dude. Well, whatever. But, right now, we're not focused on that. Look at his last 3 fights. Just decimation. Complete and utter annihilation of everyone who's put in front of him. See, it's not going to end well for Marty fake newsman over there. I'm just saying. Here we go.
What's funny is go ahead, Fresh.
No, go ahead, Nick.
I think Usman's the fakest dude in the UFC. I think he's faker than Colby. I think he's faker than Cejudo. I don't know. It's just something about him rubs me the wrong way. I do think that there's a really good chance that he could crotch sniff his way to a victory. I am very scared of that. Very, very scared of that.
There is, there's a real possibility. It's a slim one, but there is a real possibility that he could face plant himself right into Jorge's lap and hold him there.
But I think Jorge works on them legs real quick. He might even come out and kick him in the crotch real quick, like he did to Till. Yep. But he's going to work on them legs real fucking quick because that's a weakness of Usman's, and for a wrestler, that's really important to work on them fucking legs.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think that's, or he might say fuck it and try that flying knee again.
I wouldn't be mad at that.
Usman doesn't want to. He might think he wants to stand with Masvidal. He doesn't want to stand with Masvidal. If that's how you looked against Colby, you don't want to stand with Masvidal.
Fuck no.
So, yeah, Masvidal. Even if it was just the case that he's one of like the fan favorites right now, I really like Masvidal. I like how and it's more of how he changed himself, and he's going after it. He's doing, like Chael Sonnen said, he's doing all the wrong things, but he's going to the right places with it. So, yeah, I really hope Masvidal wins this. And Usman, I just don't like him there's just some guys that just don't like as a champion. I wouldn't have liked Gilbert Burns as a champion either, to tell you the truth. Some champions are just boring.
Well, and to the point that you made, Chael actually made a great point about just that yesterday when he was talking about the potential of Jorge versus Kamaru, in that before the fallout happened, Jorge and Colby were roommates and teammates for years. Mm-hmm. Those guys have literally been training in living rooms together for over a decade. If you think that Jorge hasn't picked up some wrestling defense trying to stop his USA wrestling roommate for a decade, you're lying to yourself.
Oh, he's got great takedown defense. And then, the fight with Damian Maia, where, Damian Maia, that was, the only guy Damian Maia couldn't do nothing with.
That's what I'm saying. And if that's Kamaru's bread and butter and he's banking on wrestling, boy, this is the wrong fucking one to test your mettle against.
Or you might find yourself in a darce like he did to, whatchamacallit.
Right. Slip around and fuck up, get your neck choked.
Yeah, my pick was in the second that the photos started coming out on Jorge Masvidal's Instagram. Walking out of his house in a pink Gucci fucking bathrobe,
Yeah, that
getting
fucking
onto the
robe.
fucking plane in a pink Gucci fucking bathrobe, eating pizza on the plane
Yeah.
in his pink Gucci fucking bathrobe, not giving a fuck. Jorge Masvidal, Jorge Masvidal. I mean, like, as much as I don't like the Diaz brothers, and I'm pretty open about the fact that I don't like the Diaz brothers. Like, he put a whooping on Nate Diaz, and that's not an easy thing to fucking do. That's not an easy thing to fucking do. Kamaru Usman would not survive either of the Diaz brothers,
Not a
and
chance.
he's fighting someone that currently at this point is at another fucking level on top of that. And like, when's the last time there was a truly successful didn't trip over his own feet takedown on Jorge Masvidal? Like, it's been fucking forever.
Been a long
It's been fucking
time.
forever. And you're more likely to eat a shot from his knee to your face than you are to get a successful takedown on this guy. And that's Kamaru Usman's only fucking hope is to wrestle fuck him to death. That is its only hope in this fight. I mean, there's always the puncher's chance. Like, there might be some sort of stray fucking punch that catches Jorge Masvidal on just the right spot and knocks him out. I just don't see it.
Yeah, if Till couldn't knock him out with his
Yeah.
straight punch that,
No shit.
that dropped him, he ain't doing nothing.
Nah.
Yeah, Kamaru Usman does not have the boxing skills to play, and I almost feel bad for Usman having to take this short fight. Like, Usman had to take a fight. He had to take a fight.
Yeah, he didn't have a way
He
around
was training for his team. He was training for his teammate Gilbert Burns, who I personally would have loved to see in that fight, because I think he would have beat the piss out of Usman too.
that. Yeah.
But he really got the short end of the stick with the guy that they backed the truckload of money up to, because Jorge Masvidal ain't nothing to fuck with, and he's gonna find that out like really, really, really hard on Saturday. Jorge Masvidal is gonna fucking. I think he's gonna lights out him in the first or the second, or he's gonna cut him open so bad that a doctor fucking stops it.
Right, we got a repeat of Nate Diaz. Yeah.
Yeah, and because that elbow was so sneaky and so fucking brilliant, and
Which-
like it was just, like it looked like he was just boxing, just
Right, which
just
for those
popped
of
it
you who
right
don't
over the
know,
eyebrow.
that's the other free UFC fight of the week right now. Since the late minute edition,
In that fight,
they have added the BMF fight. It is officially the newest as of
watch it.
yesterday. It's the free fight on
If you want
UFC.
Yeah, if you want to see the type of fighter that Jorge Masvidal is, watch like the first 5 seconds of that fight, because he threatens the running knee, and Nate Diaz backed the fuck out. He's like,
Immediately, yeah.
so yeah, Jorge Masvidal, he's entertaining, he's fucking hilarious. Go get him. He's a fucking stone cold killer. Go get him. Put us out of our Usman misery.
So, if Usman was around early 2000s, he could be like a fucking legendary name in the sport of MMA. This is fucking goddamn 2020. He's a one-trick pony. To be a one-trick pony and be fucking good at what you do, you have to be on the level of the Khabib Nurmagomedovs and be that level of dominant in what you do, and that being one of the only things you do, being a fucking wrestler. Does he have a possibility of taking down fucking Street Jesus? No, not really. Not really. Unless fucking Jorge fucking slips over Usman's sweat. I don't see that shit happening. With how good Masvidal's takedown defense is and how ungodly he is on his feet, I don't see a lot of people in the division that remotely fucking stand a chance, like a proper chance, being a neck and neck sort of performance. I just don't see that shit happening. I just don't. It's Masvidal all day, every day. Usman can fuck off with the Nigerian Nightmare. He can fuck off. Has a paper champ.
I agree. I think realistically, there just aren't a whole lot of fucking ways for Usman to win this. But the nice thing about MMA is that nothing's for certain until that fucking cage door closes. So, as much as we might think, nothing's set in stone until we hear that bell and we hear that ref say, let's get it on. But that's all we've got for this particular episode of the I'm No Joe podcast. I want to thank all you fine folks for coming along with us, whether you were here in the chat with us or whether you're catching this on a replay. We appreciate you guys. So before we get out of here, I want to take a moment. I want to thank these fine folks who made this shit-talking shenaniganry 2-year anniversary show work. First and foremost, somebody has got to know where the fuck this new guy is from. New guy, tell the folks where the fuck they can find out what the fuck you do.
You know, you can find me over there on the Instagrams at RJMMA official, RJ__Vapes on the old Instagrams. Come talk some shit with me. Yeah. Bring some shit on. And it was great being here for an anniversary show. Great to hang out with you beautiful bearded fuckers tonight.
Glad to have you, brother. Thank you for having the time to come in here and take part in this with us. So at this point, I know it can't just be logical, but if somebody doesn't know how to navigate Fishtown and find the bum fights, how are they going to be able to get a hold of you and get that map, Nick?
You could go over to n.divine83 on Instagram and YouTube. I want to thank you for having me. I don't know how 2 years is 3 seasons. I can't figure it out. I've been trying to think of it all night. I thought that was 8 seasons, but whatever.
MMA man.
I've probably been here for 3 of them. 3 of them 8.
Yeah, for a couple.
But yeah, everybody, have a good weekend. Thank you for watching. Anybody that stuck around and watched us, thank you. Anybody that's listening, thank you. And yeah, had fun.
Thank you for your time, sir. And now, for those of you who've been waiting to find out, how at this point can someone get on the scavenger hunt list to help us find the silo where we'll be returning to once Sug Island is over, so we can give Uncle Chael that hug fresh?
We think we've located the silo at this point.
Oh shit.
We think we have, but we don't know where Sug Island is. So that's the new scavenger hunt.
Gotcha.
We've given up. We placed a game camera inside the silo, so we can go back and check and see if he comes around. But right now, Uncle Chael's being very elusive. We think he's either on Whidbey Island or Vancouver Island. We will see if he's. It's probably he'll probably be the octagon will probably be set up in a forest. There's a chance that a bear may make its way into the octagon during the Sug Island fights. So we're hoping that'll get, because we can determine based on the species of bear, we can determine where, at least in the general vicinity, where the Sug Island fights are taking place, and then we can go give Uncle Chael the hug that he deserves. And that's what this is all about, is giving people hugs. We're not bumping elbows with Uncle Chael. We're giving a full-on hug.
That's right.
COVID be damned.
That's right.
Or you can track all the results over on youtube.com/Fresh03. Or if you're just looking for flavors, go over to DIYFlavorchaser.com/fresh. That's all you got. And all those proceeds go to helping the bears out on Vancouver Island, because it's all going to the Humane Society.
There you go. Thank you very much for your time, sir. Always appreciated. And now, I don't know how such a thing could happen, but if a person at this point, 2 years in, doesn't know how to find out where to get the best fried cheese curds in Wisconsin or the best MMA conversation, how can they get a hold of you after the show, TJ?
Depends. Probably Wednesday. So I would say Wednesdays is a good starter point. Usually around 9:30 Central Time, somewhere on the YouTubes, possibly this name here, And you can always hit me up on the Instagrams. Not going to post on there, but you can shoot me a message. I'll respond. I'll give you directions to what bar you need to go to, how much they are, who's got the best. And then if you want to talk kicky, punchy things, let me know. I'm glad to debunk any myths you think are correct.
Thank you very much for your time, brother. Always appreciated. That being said, folks, we are going to wrap up this first episode of the Season 3 launch. Like I said earlier, there are all kinds of programming changes here in Season 3. If you missed last night's news and recent events segment over on the news show for news, the Joe Liminaries, I encourage you to go watch that. Just keep your expectations low because it was a glorious shit show, I'm telling you now. We are here every Thursday night. We are able to 9:30 Central Time-ish for the I'm No Joe podcast, which from here on out is all meat and potatoes, boys and girls. Get your fix in here. Sundays, we are here 9:30 Central Time again for the What Did I Say show, where I hold us accountable for the shit that we talk on Thursday nights and compare it to how the events actually ended up happening. And there's some other new things that are dropping along the way, so keep your eyes peeled for some nice tasty morsels of I'm No Joe-esque information. And thanks again for tuning in with us. We're going to be back Sunday with a What Did I Say show after this weekend's Fight Island card coming up. But that's it. That's all we've got, folks. Thank you for tuning in. If you enjoyed what we do, give us a thumbs up. If we put a light bulb up for you, if we brought you that aha moment, subscribe. We do this every week. If we just gave you that, oh, he's right, share an episode of this shit. We're trying to grow the damn show. The other side of that coin, if we're just a couple of dipshits who somehow managed to stupidly talk our way through 2 years of nonsense, give us a thumbs down. We earned it and we won't dispute it. That being said, that's all we've got for today. So until next time, remember, don't let ignorance stop you. You can root for anything. Doesn't mean you're going to get the island you want. You still might end up in Abu Dhabi, but you can root for anything.
Everybody was kung fu fighting. Those kicks were fast as lightning. In fact, it was a little bit frightening. How do I say goodbye to what we had? The good times.